All right, everybody take a stress drink. We're live. It's election night. I have a different camera. We are.
I'm intoxicated.
Yeah.
I started taking shots. I started taking shots when those Florida numbers came in.
Welcome in to a live edition of Don't Call This a Podcast as we watch election results roll in. We are going to be live for some foreseeable time. We don't know how long, probably until we all pass out from drunkenness of either happiness or stress and anxiety. So a couple things to note as we go through the night here. It's very unlikely, let's just talk about from a percentage chance that we'll actually know the winner tonight. There are scenarios where we could find out that would be in favor of Biden, but it's more than likely that this will go beyond tonight as other numbers roll in here. So I do want to make sure we cite our sponsors tonight because we've got one. Oh, I'm sorry, our sponsor tonight because we've got a big one that I want to make sure. Excuse me, I'm sorry, we pop across here at the bottom. So tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Natural Roots by Smoot. If you are out there like me, of course, I've gotten the cut. Y'all see it now. But, you want to keep the beard clean. You want to keep the hair nice. Natural Roots by Smoot offers beard balm, beard oil, hair and skin cream. Products are made with all natural ingredients such as cocoa butter and shea butter, olive oil, essential oils, and honey. Free of manufactured and artificial chemicals, Natural Roots by Smoot was started because Smoot really believes that you can achieve amazing results with your hair and skin by using what nature has already provided. You can learn more at naturalrootsbysmoot.com. Look at the bottom of your screen. The website, again, is at the bottom of your screen, Natural Roots by Smoot. So that's who's bringing us tonight's coverage. Make sure you go check them out and show them love. We have MSNBC, or right now CBS up here, because that's all we can stomach. And so we will jump back into the coverage and we'll kind of give our commentary as we see fit. So welcome in. Thank y'all for stress watching with us.
That he's closer to winning the presidency? Not enough.
I just want you to know my mom just texted me after my drunk comment, and she said, "How is your liver?" Yellow in all caps.
But if you're looking at some of these, you got to look at turnout. So
this is the state
President Trump's doing very well in Florida, right? I mean, I'm still struck by the
bottle
fact
was full
that
at 4
that Joe
o'clock.
Biden is only winning Miami-Dade, which is the big central part of his where he's got to get his vote. He's only winning it by 9 points. Hillary Clinton won it by 29 points. I guess my point is that the numbers that are coming in are really good for the president in Florida. Right. So they're good for the president in Florida.
I will say, I did not expect Florida to go blue. So Florida, even though they keep saying it's a swing state, it really hasn't been anything Democrats can rely upon.
And we should tell everybody, too, it is 8:45.
And it's mostly, again, that's one reason why they pushed the whole Joe Biden's is socialist, because Miami has so many conservative Cubans and Venezuelans, and we have to remember they come from countries that are known to be socialist and are communist, so, or at least in their eyes. So, like, that's why they kind of push that, even though Joe Biden's the furthest from socialist as possible. So, people are like, how could this happen? You're Latinos. But we have to remember that they came here on refugee status, and it's different. And they're like, well, the things that he said about Mexicans, it's different. It's completely, if you don't know that, you need to look a little bit more into the diaspora, and not everyone's the same. So if you kind of knew, you shouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, and Florida is not crucial to Biden's path to victory. That's the other thing I want to push here for people, is that that's not what's necessary for him to win. Any of the states that are coming in tonight, Biden could essentially lose and be okay. But
sorry,
shout out to AJ. But basically, he could lose any of those states and be okay. But I think where it gets interesting is North Carolina, Arizona, and Georgia. Like I said, I haven't.
Georgia's close.
I don't expect Florida to go to Biden. I don't. So I haven't for this whole time. I've thought Georgia is more prone to flip, just because Florida is becoming redder. So I mean, that's just me. That's just me. There are a couple. I mean, we've got numbers coming in across the board here. I did not expect Jackson in Georgia. I can't think of who that is. To pick up what has been like 3% of the vote so far. I've been yelling at Matt Lieberman, and I should be yelling at whoever this Jackson character is, because those are votes that could be in Warnock's pocket. So we will see. We will see. Stress, baby, stress. I've got the Dr. Pepper.
I just want to say I'm going to be getting the white woman extinction button out because, again, white women are voting 54% in favor of Trump. Leave black and minority voters alone, aka that woman who still needs to delete her tweet that said, "As a white woman, I hope the black voters are going to turn out." Please delete your tweet and delete yourself. I'm tired. I'm so tired.
Delete your Twitter, but that's a whole nother
delete yourself.
Delete yourself. Like,
I got to cut, AJ. I got to cut. That's obviously what happened to my hair. That's why I don't have 7 inches in a diameter of curls anymore. So
I signed into the StreamYard and I was like, wait, who is this? It's like, I see Ron.
It was kind of last minute, like it came out of nowhere, so I can't even.
Remember, you had been talking in the group chat about it, but I didn't know you had actually got it done.
No, yeah.
Yes, I am flexing today. I am.
What is that? I can't see.
Ivy Park. The only thing I was able to get. Yeah, because I thought it had sold out, but the Adidas app came through and it's like, hey, we did a low key restock. So
look at you.
Mm-hmm. I also have some of the socks on from the last drop. So can we, because I've been having a harder time doing this, can we also try to like zero in on some of Georgia's more local elections as well? Because last time I checked on Dana early in the night that Dana was leading a little bit. I know some of the maybe further out numbers may be pulling in, but I have a harder time with that because everyone's kind of focusing on the presidential election with Georgia since it's a swing state considered now. I don't know. I can't find it. No one cares.
Yeah, and the thing in Fulton County, I was just like, okay.
Let's talk about it.
I was like, all right.
Is that where Brian Kemp has been?
I missed that blurb. What happened with Fulton?
So in Fulton County, pipe burst in a room where ballots were being kept. So now that even though no ballots were touched, apparently that those results from that Fulton County location is going to get pushed to Friday.
Oh wow.
And if you don't know, Fulton County is overwhelmingly.
Fulton County is where Atlanta is.
Fulton
County is the city
part of Atlanta because
part of Atlanta goes into Cab.
Yeah, part of Atlanta goes into part of Cobb, Cab, Fulton, because who nothing makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Why design it that way? Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the audio here.
Yeah.
The early states and put them in the toss-up category and watch what happens to the 306. We take North Carolina, we put that in the toss-up. Georgia, put that in the toss-up. Florida, put that in the toss-up. Okay, already you can see why the campaigns are so zeroed in on what is the fate of those places. The president's campaign feels very, very confident about Florida, absolutely confident. So let's put that in the Trump category. Georgia, as we just heard from Mark Strassman, we may not know until tomorrow, so let's keep that there. What about North Carolina? Put that back in the Trump category. He's at 290.
Should you put Pennsylvania?
So Pennsylvania, let's talk about Pennsylvania. A lot of focus on Pennsylvania. We'll probably not know the results from Pennsylvania until tomorrow. So for tonight's purposes, let's put that in the toss-up category. Our next focus, Nora, will be Arizona because that counts fast and will close at 10 o'clock. Let's put that in the toss-up category or in the Biden category. That moves things helpfully for Biden, but he still can't get anywhere unless he does something important in the upper Midwest. Let's say Wisconsin, let's say Michigan, where the polls have been favoring him. Well, that gets him to 269, but he still needs something else. Pennsylvania, Georgia, some other breakthrough to get over.
Okay, Jonathan asked a good question, so I think we need to get on that.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's not always the case.
Right. So Jonathan, for instance, in Alabama, and it's crazy that, and I know this is going to make your head explode as someone who isn't
who's not from the States.
A citizen of this country. But for instance, in Alabama, when I went in, I voted straight ticket Democrat. So to me, in my opinion, that is another form of voter suppression in a manner because let's say if my ballot was broken out by the candidates, then I would likely be more prone to be like, okay, like even like, let's say I'm a person who like, okay, I'm still going to vote Republican for president. I might be more prone to vote for the the other candidate in the other party, you know, if it's broken out that way, but most people are going to go straight ticket. Whereas in Georgia, Ryan, break down how Georgia works, because that's interesting as well.
Yeah, so Georgia is interesting because there are two Senate seats up for grabs. Typically, what happens is a Senate seat goes for 6 years, and they're all offset so that a state Senate seats don't come open at the same time. What happened here is that Johnny Isaacson retired. He stepped down for health reasons at the end of last year, I believe, or the year, end of last year. And the sitting governor is able to then appoint somebody to take the Senate seat for the remainder until a special election can be held. In Georgia, where it even gets even crazier, is that those special elections are held as jungle primaries. So what that means is anybody who wants to enter, who's qualified to enter, who gets approved by the state of Georgia, is in the race. So while they're only talking about 3 prominent people in Raphael Warnock, Kelly Loeffler, and Doug Collins, there are really 21 candidates. Because of this, Georgia also has a law which kind of dates back to Reconstruction that if you do not clear the 50% mark, you go to a runoff. The reason for this, which I don't feel like going really down in the historical era of it, the reason for this is because Black people were able to win good numbers during Reconstruction, so they changed the law so that it would be a runoff and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's what's happening with that special election. That's why that is being held, and that's why that's likely to go to a runoff. It's going to be the top 2 people that finish below 50% that will go to the runoff in January. The other race, which is a race for a Senate seat that was already coming open, is between Jon Ossoff and David Perdue. In that case, again, if they don't get to 50%, it will go to a runoff because there is a third person in there, Shane Hazel, who's a libertarian. So there's a really good chance that he could pick off enough votes to where nobody gets 50%. And we're looking in January at another race, at 2 runoff races for those 2 seats. So to answer your question, Jonathan, just because a state goes red or blue for the presidency doesn't mean it'll go red or blue for that Senate seat. Because Doug Jones is a perfect example, as Ron alluded to. That's a deep red state in Alabama, and he won the Senate election and has an outside chance to win re-election tonight. So that shouldn't go without saying there. So I hope that answers the question, Jonathan.
Yeah, very good question, by the way.
For you, the contest in 2016 was very close. McBath upset the incumbent Handel 49 to 59
really
to 50%. Ms. Handel was elected statewide as Secretary of State, of course. She was very well known when Ms. McBath joined the race. Ms. McBath won on issues including gun control and health care. And today, COVID is rewriting this race. We're watching the candidates in their masks, indicating whether their political party stance on COVID. And I will tell you that there are 5 highway patrol officers outside to make sure these Republicans stay tight. In Buckhead, back to you.
All right, Sally, thanks so much. We are following the results so far for the U.S. Senate election between the incumbent Republican Senator David Perdue and his Democratic challenger, Jon Ossoff. Now, you can see that percentage of precincts reporting. It's only 14%, so it's still early. But Senator Perdue, looking at least at this point, as though he is holding a comfortable lead.
Brittany Miller has been speaking with Jon Ossoff's campaign. And Brittany, you spoke with Jon Ossoff earlier today. He's very optimistic that he may come away with a win.
And that is a direct quote, Sean. Very optimistic. He is confident that something will happen today that will lead to a win for him, his campaign, and his staff. I want to take a look at the numbers as we were heading into tonight. We knew that this race was going to be very heated. It's a very tight race, neck and neck between Senator Perdue and Jon Ossoff. If you take a look at the numbers right now at this hour, with 10% of the precincts reporting, 57% going to Perdue, 41% going to Jon Ossoff. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what happens as the night ends. Sean and Rick?
Thank you, Brittany. You're watching CBS 46's Election Night 2020, America Decides.
Our live team coverage continues on CBS46.com and also on our streaming app. It's on the news at 9 on Peachtree TV as well.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries.
All right, let's mute that as we talk some more, because these numbers are. I'm gonna pull us back to just the 3 of us, and we'll pull the screen back when it's time. But these early numbers, man, even though I know it's like super early, like that's 14%, we got a while to go. I'm stress drinking over here, man. I'm stress drinking. I still think that
and tequila.
I still think that this is going to prove it. Like, we don't know anything yet, right? Like, again, don't hope on Florida. Don't put out hope on Florida. It's a lost cause. Like, don't even. It's not worth.
And I would argue that Florida might grow more and more red in the future as more people are moving to Florida, and that's why we see, like, you can't have some states turning blue without others turning red. Like, that's just not.
It's a great migration.
More people are becoming progressive. No, it's a migration. So we may see more northeastern and more midwestern states grow blue, which is why you need to shut the fuck up about fuck Kentucky and fuck Georgia. Because if you go outside of your little city, people are flying Confederate flags. I'm tired of that. Shut up. Shut up. If then move to Kentucky and vote blue. I'm tired of it, because if you had been paying an ounce of attention, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent. If you have been paying an ounce of attention, you would know that Amy McGrath has just been a poor candidate. I'm sorry, she's been a terrible candidate, a boring candidate. Kentucky Democrats have been pushing her for years, even though Kentuckians are like, we don't want this. And they spent $90 million on that. So, yes, we want Mitch McConnell out. However, you need to shut up about states you know nothing about. Just like Chicagoans trying to tell me you need to vote for Doug Jones. I'm like, do you know what I've been living under in Roy Moore my entire life? Roy Moore my entire life at the time. You need to shut the hell up, and you need to focus on the fact that you're living in a gentrified neighborhood, first of all. You most likely are. Or you need to start donating more efforts in that state. Donate towards Planned Parenthoods in that state. Shut up. You're not helping. Yeah, you're in a little blue bubble. You are privileged. I'm so sick of that. Like, yes, it happens, but you're talking about states that have way more minorities than yours do. We're talking about states that have way more Black people than any other part of the country. So when you say fuck those states, you're saying fuck all the minorities. You're saying fuck all those people that are impoverished and everyone that is fighting really hard for change. I need you to shut the hell up. I'm tired of you. You are not a progressive if you're just like, oh, that's just Megaland. Because if you would have looked, and I kind of had to catch myself as someone who was from the West Coast, who did this whole thread, I guess I'll tag you guys in it, about the Alabama Black Belt, like it was some kind of phenomenon. I'm like, well, not everyone's from Alabama, so they're not going to understand it. So maybe these, liberals will understand. But I guess not everyone saw the thread. So she's trying not to get me for cussing because she knows I've been drinking. But
shout out to Ant, by the way. He shout out to Ant. I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to give him a shout out.
Good. But yeah, it's really grossing me out. People's like, of course, fuck everyone in Kentucky. It's like, no, fuck you. You're in a safe place, right? But if you step like just a mile outside of your city, it's Megaland. And the polls in the county show that. They show that. And as more people are going to be migrating away from your state, it's going to turn more and more red, and you're going to get exposed. Mm-hmm. You're going to get exposed like the fool that you are, and that the classist that you are, and it's borderline racism. I'm very sick of it. All right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I will say.
Go ahead. Oh, I was about to say to add on to that. Basically, I'm here. Yeah. So to add on to that, no one can claim regional superiority in a country that's been governed by Donald Trump for 4 years, and that goes regardless of what happens tonight. But also, this is anecdotal, but I just want to say one thing. I've been going to the same polling place since I was in college. I went there today. Something told me to go early. I went there today at 6:30. And I waited in line for an hour. And I'm not saying that as in like, oh, that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's the response from the public. That's the response from the citizens here. So you can't say that we in the South aren't doing anything when you don't see this happening. You don't see these lines wrapped around the building. You don't see what people have to go through to even get registered to vote. Once again, I'm from Marengo County, Alabama. If my mom wants to get registered to vote, she has to drive 20 minutes out the way to go to the courthouse in another city. Like, and that's what, so what I'm saying is, like, in these impoverished areas in the Black Belt or in the South in general, like, you don't know what people have to go through to simply cast that vote. So if you aren't, assisting with this, then you have no room to speak. And once again, like, we've been banging this drum on this show. Like, we've been trying to turn eyes to Mississippi and then what Mike Espy could possibly do tonight. And
hold on. I'm looking at the numbers for Doug Jones and Tommy Tuberville. Sorry.
Oh no, it's cool.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Keep going.
Oh yeah, is that bad, huh?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's actually
No.
Doug Jones
Doug's
is leading.
up.
Sorry, I was in shock. Keep going. Keep going.
Doug
Keep
is
going.
up. Yeah.
Keep going because we're on a roll. This needs to be said.
So as I was saying, basically every battle that's fought in this country originates in the South. So when it comes to women's reproductive rights, when it comes to LGBTQ issues, when it comes to all this stuff, you need to find grassroots organizations in the South that support them instead of, complaining on Twitter while you're living comfortably in a blue state. Because there are people fighting for these things. Ryan's in Georgia, Courtney's in Georgia, I'm in Alabama. There are people fighting for these things, and you need to fight them where they originate. For instance, we've mentioned on the show several times, like Shelby versus whatever the fuck. Yeah, Shelby versus Oda. Yeah. So things like that, they typically originate out of these states in the South. So you need to pump support into these southern states because that's where these battles originate. So that's all I want to say.
Yeah, I'll add to that by saying that a lot of folks have given money to a lot of interesting campaigns, right? Like we've seen the money that Jamie Harrison has raised. I think it's record breaking for a senatorial candidate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen that people have given, and it's not just people in South Carolina; it's people across the country. And those things are appreciated, but I think it should be said that the South is not a monolith, just like the Northeast isn't and California isn't. California isn't a 99% vote for Biden, right?
No.
It's likely going to be somewhere in the high 60s, low 70s, but there's still 30% of that state that votes that way. And so we don't see a lot of people who say those things about red county California, right? Georgia is a changing demographic. I've been beating the drum for about a week now, ever since I've been reading a lot of numbers and data, that Gwinnett County, which is where I live, is probably going to be the pivotal county in this race for the state of Georgia. The reason for that is Gwinnett County is the second most populous county in the state. As we mentioned before, Fulton County is where Atlanta is. Gwinnett County has a population of almost 1 million people. Of that 1 million, 40% are Black. Only 43% are white. So the other remaining percentage are other ethnicities. You have Asian Americans. You have, Asian Americans of every subset, right? You have, Japanese, Korean, Malaysian, and then you have, Southern Asians, like Indian populations, things of that nature. So you have a lot of diverse populations over here, and it's leaning blue, right? There's a possibility. I just want to go ahead and this comes from, based on returns available now, this is a tweet by Kurt Yemens. Based on the available approximation, Tom Kirby could be the only Republican left in Gwinnett's 25-seat legislative delegation after tonight. That's for the state of Georgia's General Assembly. We've interviewed several people on this program for Georgia's General Assembly who are running in the state for these state house races. Gwinnett could be at the point where 24 of the 25 are Democrats. On top of that, at the county level, for county commissioners, for district attorneys, all those kind of things, we have several Black candidates who are front runners to win those seats. So when you say those things about the South being a monolith, when you try and write off the South just for kind of who you project to be as okay, you write off thousands, millions of people who are trying to do the right thing, right? Doug Jones, in the last part of his campaign, went down to the Black Belt. He's always gone to the Black Belt, but he continues to go there. Mississippi has the largest percentage of Black people in a state than any other state in the country. Over 40% of the population is Black. So we can't forget those things, and we can't treat it like this just this monolith that will never move. Because if you invest the money in the infrastructure, if we can get a Biden presidency, if things go well tonight and this week, and we can undo Shelby versus Holder, and we can expand voting rights and voting access, and we can mobilize these groups, you're going to look at a very different South in a way that we haven't done before, because that electorate in Mississippi is there. We just have to make it easier for them to go out and vote. We have to convince more of these moderates that, hey, you can vote Democrat. It's probably in your best interest as a low or middle class American to vote Democrat. And these things can happen and can change. And we have to remember that. You're going to look at here in time where Georgia becomes more and more blue. We have Stacey Abrams to thank for kind of kickstarting that. Well, not really kickstarting it, but energizing it. You're going to look at a place where Georgia becomes more and more blue, where South Carolina maybe becomes bright red, and maybe becomes a light red instead of dark red. all of those sort of things. So I just kind of want to point that out to people, just to kind of piggyback off of what y'all were saying. But I don't know. Do y'all want to kind of get back into audio here, or do y'all want to keep running?
Oh, real quick, I just want to say, like, if the only time you hear about political events in the South is through these major elections, then you just need to shut the hell up, because you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no place to speak over Southerners, period. You have no place. Again, my own personal experience with Chicagoans, and it was actually 100% white Chicagoans, 100% white Chicagoans that were like, first, you need to vote. Let me tell you how to vote. And it's like, I've been living under the tyranny that is Alabama politicians my whole life. How fucking dare you tell me how to vote when my character should speak on its own? And you've lived in your nice little gentrified neighborhood, and then you complain about seeing minorities in your gentrified neighborhood in a city that is extremely gentrified and divided. It's the hypocrisy for me. So you need to focus on your own issues, because we've got white supremacists in every state, in every city, Confederate flags flying in every state, even ones that weren't part of the Confederacy. You need to focus on that, and you need to focus on you. So,
all right, let's get back into the coverage here.
Normal year, non-pandemic year, you'd see a few more of those states
Meaning
up on the board. They're toss-ups. That's right. They haven't been called. That's partly because we're looking at a more competitive horse race between the president and the former vice president, but also because the pandemic is making it harder to count ballots in a lot of these states, or at least it's slowing the process a bit. But the fact that several of those states along the East Coast and now in the Midwest, the fact that they can't be called yet is a reminder of that.
Yeah, we talk about the changing America. We want to bring in CBS News contributor Maria Elena Salinas, because Maria Elena, Texas, it's got a huge Latino population.
That's right, Nora. Almost 1 in 3 voters in Texas is Latino, 5.6 million in all. But turnout in this group has usually been very low. Only 40% of Latinos voted in Texas in 2016. But that's not the case this year. There's 2 million Latinos that voted early in Texas, driven mostly by young and first-time voters. That's a 25% increase from 2016. And that's just the early voting. 60% of them are supporting Biden. So, what's bringing them out? Well, President Trump is a lightning rod for many in Texas. They're particularly turned off by the president's anti-immigrant rhetoric and his policies like family separations and limits on legal immigration.
Ohio is
also
looking
that
good.
mass
surprising from Ohio.
in El Paso, where 23 people were killed.
I want to pull up those Doug Jones numbers, because I'm pretty sure I saw 55-45, if I'm not incorrect.
I think that's
and I think it's a low percentage reporting, but still, that's incredible. So I have a lot more hopes for that. So Jonathan, if you're still watching, that's a really good example. That's shocking, because Trump was overwhelmingly won Alabama, that was already called, but Doug Jones is leading. It's still close, but still leading. So,
well, they're projecting Trump will win Arkansas as we expected. Biden will win New Jersey as we expected. So I'm gonna let them kind of get through these projections. We're gonna take a quick break because I forgot to run our sponsor at 9:00. So I was kind of waiting for them to take a break, and it looks like they are. So let's go ahead and hear from our sponsor tonight, Natural Roots by Smoot. Oh wait, audio is not pulling. I think I got to pull it from here. Hold on. Oh, because I put the wrong one up. There we go.
I love how intently your baby's watching.
Well, all right, let's take a quick break. Natural Roots by Smoot believes that you can achieve amazing results for your hair and skin by using what nature's already provided. With beard balms and oils and hair and skin creams made free of manufactured and artificial chemicals, the results speak for themselves. Try their lemon peppermint hair and skin cream, 4 ounces for $9 or 8 ounces for $18. Try a set of the Cedar Forest Beard Balm and Beard Oil for $12. Natural Roots by Smoot was started because he really believes that you can achieve amazing results with your hair and skin by using what nature has already provided. Learn more by going to naturalrootsbysmoot.com. That's naturalrootsbysmoot.com.
Yeah, no, and by the way, I'm not just saying this because they're our sponsor, but I checked the site out. I saw the products. I'm definitely going to cop some products myself, so check them out. Really good products. So I think as we grow older as men, we start to care more about hair care, skin care, things of that nature. So yeah, definitely check out their products. I'm gonna buy some myself, so check it out.
Yeah, I do want to shout out Smoot. Full disclosure, that's my line brother. So that was my number 9. So shout out to Smoot. But I appreciate him supporting the podcast, supporting what we do. If you do want to be a sponsor of what we work on here at the Kids Wear Crowns and Don't Call This a Podcast, then hit our line, man. Contact at thekidswearcrowns.com or message us on Twitter. We'll be happy to set it up because we've got some real low rates, real affordable rates for people that do want to advertise. So looking at some of these numbers that are coming in, a lot of this is promising, man. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of this is promising. I know we're kind of doom scrolling right now, looking for any bad thing that can be found. But any leads that Trump has are in places with very low count, right? So in Maine, he has a lead, but it's a 4% count. Susan Collins has a lead, but it's a 3% count. So we don't know what a lot of these are going to look like.
Look at Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's early count.
See, again, with your fuck Alabama nonsense.
There it is.
Half and half and half. I don't want to hear a thing from you. Shut up. Yeah.
Yeah, 50-50. 50-50.
Like, listen. Hold up. As someone who has lived in Alabama their entire life, the fact that it's just 50-50 right now, you don't realize how huge that is.
Especially
so, like I said,
when it's a main election with straight ticket voting. That is
exactly. So the response that I saw today, it is showing up in these results. So please, like, just know that people did their part today. They got out to vote.
And I know it's anecdotal.
In a pandemic.
Yeah, and I want to point out, because Alabama did not have early voting in the way that Georgia did and a lot of other states did, right?
And they didn't have drop boxes.
No drop boxes. So I do want to point out, a lot of my fraternity brothers who are still in Alabama talked about how long their lines were. People in Madison, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, who live up there. Shout out to Jonathan Pointer of 25 Fit, and I can't think of the woman's name who runs the vegan restaurant up there, but shout out to her as well if she's watching. They were just kind of documenting the long lines out in Madison and out in North Huntsville. So that's promising, right? Like, those are places that Madison, even though it's a suburb, it's got a large Black population, a large population of people who may go for a Doug Jones over a Tommy Tuberville, even if they vote for Trump. So that's kind of what you need, right? Alabama is a place where you do have to appeal to those Trump voters who may want a more moderate Democrat, and it just kind of prove that, hey, this guy isn't going to do anything for you. I mean, Tuberville isn't doing himself any favors, which kind of speaks to the laziness of the Alabama Republican Party, if we want to talk about that. But I think that gives us some promise, right? Like, we could be in a situation where Doug does hang on, and if he hangs on, that really shows good things for the rest of the country, right?
Well, hold on. Hickenlooper is. Wait. Did I see
only like
73%.
Okay. I just saw the percentage. Is not there.
I know Jonathan had another question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, ask Jonathan. Yeah, because I was like, Hickenlooper is washing Corey Carter. But yeah,
I'm gonna put the audio back on while we wait for Jonathan's question.
Okay.
Peters, the few seats that Democrats were worried about in the Senate. Well, at this hour, we characterize that race as leaning towards the Democrats. So it looks like he may hold on to that seat. And another little interesting piece of housekeeping at this hour, Wyoming, that was not a battleground race, but it does look like Cynthia Lummis is going to be the first woman who's going to the Senate from Wyoming after about 100 years of women having the right to vote. Interestingly enough, there are still 17 states that have not sent a woman to the U.S. Senate.
Can we go back to Martha McSally for a second? She seemed to try to distance herself from President Trump. Did that help or hurt her?
She has a challenge that so many Republicans have in Trump's Washington, which is really that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. Conservative voters are never going to think you're Trumpy enough. They'll always be suspicious that you are a member of the Washington establishment. And then independent voters get turned off because they think you hug yourself too closely to the president. She just campaigned with the president in Arizona this week. He let her come on the stage for all of about 50 seconds.
I think didn't he yell at her?
That's a good question, Jonathan. So kind of going back to, for everybody that doesn't know, Jonathan, our friend, is from the Great White North. He's from Canada. So Jonathan, for Doug Jones, In 2016, after Trump won the presidency, he appointed Jeff Sessions as his attorney general. Jeff Sessions was at the time one of Alabama's 2 senators. His term was ending in, his term was set to end this year. But because he was appointed and there was a vacancy, a special election was called in the state of Alabama, and Doug Jones won over Roy Moore in 2017. That was to serve the rest of Sessions' term. So this race is to serve a full term. So whoever wins this race will serve until 2026, barring any kind of resignation or death that would make the seat open again. Same reason why that Georgia special election is happening. Isaacson stepped down before his seat was supposed to come up in 2022. So whoever wins between Warnock, Loeffler, and Collins will end up holding the seat for only 2 years before it's time for the full 6-year term election.
The only thing is, if Joe Biden, you chose Doug Jones as your attorney general. I'm just saying.
Yeah, things don't go well.
Throwing it out there.
Do that. We're not going to be mad. We will not be
I'm
mad.
not going to be mad. Alabama does need more representation and not Jeff Sessions.
Oh, there was a very, very good, and because Joe's comment, I want to pull that up. There was a very, very good article today. I want to say by the Huffington Post that highlighted the 7 black individuals running for Senate. And it's one of the most in the modern era. The reason I want to point that out is because it's a very good read. Is it talks about a lot of like their age, how hard it is as Democrats to win in some southern states, but then also how young they are. Marquita Bradshaw, I want to say, is in her 40s, who's running in Tennessee. Jamie Harrison is 44 years old. Who else am I missing? John Ossoff, who's not black, is 34 years old. And there's another one I'm missing. Mike Espy, who is above 50. But you have a lot of black candidates who are running in mass for the first time in a very, very long time. So that's very promising. John, your question did go through. I don't know if you okay, so you're just behind. Right. We just answered it.
I think he said that he was lagging because his VPN's lagging. So
yeah, okay. We do have a there's a bit of like a latency, like delay. So yeah, maybe that's why it's going to come through a few seconds later. So yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So I'm really intrigued by some of these numbers coming up. Yeah, like Mitch is going to win the Senate there. That's not a question. Charles Booker.
Here's the thing: Kentucky Democrats need to present a more inspiring candidate and not draw $90 million. So I have a lot of friends in Kentucky, so I'm not surprised by this at all.
Yeah, even pumping all of that money into McGrath, she barely beat Charles Booker. So that's kind of embarrassing. So yeah. And I think not to go off the rails here, but I do think after this, whatever happens, there needs to be an internal discussion within the Democratic Party about listening to the people. Yeah, listening to the people, not propping up establishment Democrats,
moderates.
Exactly. Because there needs to be a pathway for like the regular everyday man to do this if they feel passionate enough. And I really felt that with Charles Booker. Look how
close Biden is in South Carolina.
Exactly.
Sorry to interrupt, but like,
look. Yeah, exactly. And those qualities really shine through. So if someone has been like, and we do talk about grooming people, but at the same time, groom the right people, Yes. So give the people what they want, listen to what they want, and stop propping up people just because you think it's their time. Like if the people want something, then support that person. Yeah.
You need to, just to kind of piggyback again off of that. You need to vote out. I look at Alabama. Oh my God! But anyway, you need to get with the times.
Whoa!
Again, people are saying "fuck Alabama." Look at this. But anyway,
I'm gonna freak out every time. We see
every single time. Again, like if you're not from the area, you just don't know. You just don't know how exciting that is.
You don't know because it never looks like this. It never looks like this.
It does. Like even Doug Jones is running against a pedophile and barely won.
Like there's a running joke in Alabama that if Jesus ran with the D next to his name, he would lose. This is crazy. So like really, like this is promising. Oh my God.
So again, it's what happens when you run inspiring, and when I mean boring, I don't mean like, oh, I'm not entertained. I mean that they bring nothing to the table other than, well, I'm not this person. It's not inspiring at all. The one thing about Doug Jones is that he's such an inspiring person. We're biased because we interviewed him, but he was one of the nicest people I talked to, way out of his way to kind of make time for us and do the interview with us. And the fact that he was a prosecutor for the men that bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church against a pedophile at that time, and against a former football coach who has done nothing. Alabama hasn't lived in Alabama in years. So you need more inspiring candidates like Doug Jones. I honestly feel like they should look more at the Doug Jones campaign, because he's not young. He's not young in any sense, but he is a very inspiring candidate. So
I've said this and I think we're seeing that tonight. I've said this in our group chat a lot. Doug Jones represents everything that the Republican Party pretends to be. Because once again, like all of us, like we tend to lean more left, but Doug Jones is more of a moderate Democrat. And I don't say that in a pejorative manner. I say he's going to vote what he believes on every issue. He's truly a man of faith. He talks about that a lot. He supports Second Amendment rights within reason. He supports a woman's right to do what she wants to with her body, but he has reservations about abortion. That's fair. So he's everything that a Republican pretends to be. And I think that's starting to come through. So I think when people are looking at, I think some people looked at like, man, can I really vote for Thomas Tuberville of all people? Because really, that's like the lowest of the low. So I think a lot of people are saying like, you know what? I can relate to Doug Jones. Like, or he may be a Democrat. I can relate to him.
Or they might not check the box. Like that's the
at
thing
all.
that
They'll just leave it blank.
Is they may do an all Democrat, or all Republican ballot check, but some of them will. There's a lot of people in that state that will go through every single candidate, and they may not vote on Senate. Right? Like that was what happened with Roy Moore. Is a lot of people either stayed home or they voted for other races on the ballot. There weren't many, but there were a couple. They may have voted in local stuff and left Roy Moore blank. So that's really all Doug needs. Is he just needs people. If people don't want to vote Trump and Jones, then he just needs people to go in and vote Trump and not vote anything else, right? Or go in and skip the Senate seat, which is very plausible. Like I don't think people really understand politics in Alabama, because even the people that we write off as like Trumpers, right? When you actually talk to these people, you actually have a conversation with these people. And I had to do this for a lot of my job, right? I had to go to a lot of these places. A lot of the things that they support and care for are democratic ideals, right? So they can, you can call them what you want, but a lot of them are smart enough to see when somebody's trying to play them, right? There's a good amount that are smart enough to see that Tommy Tuberville doesn't really care about them. He just kind of wants the money and the job. And there's a lot of them that are smart enough to realize it that may not want to vote for Jones, but they won't vote for Tommy. And that's the thing that we have to remember of why this seat can be in play, even during a presidential year where Trump is going to bring out a lot of his base who are going to vote for him. There are people in that state that will go Trump and Jones, even though people don't want to believe it. They're there. It's just how many of them do that.
And I want to mention that on Sunday, Tuberville came to my hometown, Gardendale, which again, I think it had like 30 people, which says a lot, right? Because people never go to Gardendale, and it is overwhelmingly red. That's anecdotal, but I just know for a fact it's overwhelmingly red. I spent my whole life there, but the fact that only 30 people showed up, it's still a pandemic, but a lot of people that don't care that people don't care that it's a pandemic, so that's not a point to me. So the fact that it was only 30 people showing up, I was like, maybe people there are discouraged by the fact that it's Tuberville and they won't vote. So
yeah, and once again, to go back to Doug Jones, and I know, like, yes, this is a Doug Jones stand account. But this Monday, this man was in Greensboro, Alabama, was in Demopolis, was in Marion, was in places that people typically don't go. Uniontown, yes, Uniontown. Yes. So he so look at how each of them have been moving. Like Tuberville took Monday off. He was golfing. Doug Jones was still hitting the trail. So
and again, Tuberville spent Sunday in Gardendale. He spent Sunday in Gardendale, which is just like a small ass event. And Jonathan, to answer your question, we said earlier, it is pretty key. It's also important in the terms of voter suppression and who gets suppressed. It's overwhelmingly, I don't have the numbers, overwhelmingly Black populated county.
Fulton County is where most of Atlanta is.
And it's like one of the most, it used to be the most populated county. I don't think so anymore.
It still is.
But the others, I guess the others are kind of,
but it's right there.
Yeah. Others are like gaining on it, like my county and your county, Ryan. I think we're getting really close. But it is the most populous county in Georgia, and it is it's majority minority, mostly Black people. So when we talk about in terms of voter suppression, it's not just how key the county is, it's who populates that county and what their votes likely will look like.
So I just want to point out here, Fulton County, what is talking?
I hate the Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
Thank you. So it's for people that think they're smart and they're not. Sorry, I had to get that off. I hate it.
Fulton County has a population of about 1.1 million, and about 44% of that is Black. Gwinnett County, by contrast, as I was talking about a little bit earlier, has a population of about 936,000, which is really split down the middle in terms of white and Black, and then a good 15% that are various Asian populations and Hispanic populations. So just kind of give you a rundown, the two most populous counties are also extremely diverse. So once these Gwinnett County numbers start rolling in, I think that is what's going to make things a little interesting.
I think Cobb as well. I think Cobb, because my
Cobb.
county, it's Cobb, which is I live in Cobb. I think it's diversifying a lot, and Cobb barely went Clinton in 2016. Since between 2016 and now, they've diversified even more so, because the amount of people moving to Atlanta. I think a lot of people are moving to Cobb.
Yeah.
So I think Cobb and Gwinnett might do it. I think they might do it.
So we're going to see what happens right now. I think right now, according to WSB TV, we're only at 27% of precincts rolling in. So, Trump has a lead, but we don't know sort of what precincts are kind of being occupied here. I do want to take a look at the Georgia House. I'm not really sharing the screen right here, but I'm trying to kind of pull up. Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to pull up some of these races that we have interviewed and want to keep an eye on. So in the 106th district right now, Rebecca Mitchell is up by 500 votes. But we don't have a full precinct reporting yet. So there are 13 precincts in that district. I do want to also pull up Shelley Hutchinson is ahead of her opponent, Michael McConnell, by about 26 points right now. Jasmine Clark is up on her opponent by about 12 points. Let me go back to Sam Park here and Greg Kennard. So 102, Greg Kennard is up by about 700 votes right now, which is about 16% difference. And Sam Park is up by over 1,000 votes and about also a 26-point lead. So those Georgia races that we were keeping an eye on, they are going very well in the favor of the people that we are supporting here, that we have officially endorsed as our little news outlet is concerned. So we're very excited about that. We're also going to keep an eye on the House of Representatives seat.
Let's look at Dana, because hers has been flip-flopping. That's my district, so I'm very nervous for that one because allegedly Barry Loudermilk is a white supremacist and anti-vax. So I don't want that. I don't. And not to mention Kennesaw State University is in this, so let's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, yo. I'm sorry. But I'm back.
Okay. I was just talking about how Barry Loudermilk is allegedly a white supremacist and anti-vax. It's a strong, I say allegedly for legal reasons, but the evidence is there.
Well, let's take a look at some of these districts in Georgia in terms of the ones that we're trying to.
Again, Maine is not in the South. Maine is not in the South, so y'all need to shut up.
Whoa, wait a minute. So Nikema Williams running for House District 5 here in Georgia against Angela Stanton King. Remember, that's a Black Trumper. We have no full precincts reporting, but of 31,000 votes, I want y'all to hear this. I want you to see your face. Of 31,000 votes, Nikema Williams, the Democratic candidate, has 27,000. Things are looking very good there. Lucy Math is up by 16,000 over Karen Handel. Carolyn Bordeaux is up over Rich McCormick by about 8,000 votes. Right now, Barry Loudermilk is above Dana with 50% precincts reporting. He's up by about 20 points. So we need those last remaining precincts to be things that will.
I'm sure Cherokee County. I think Cherokee County has already been counted in Bartow.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's Cherokee County. That's the rural part. We'll see as Cobb comes in. Cobb is what will swing in her direction for her.
Thanks to Dana, I found out that Cardi B and Offset are in the same district as me, so that's fun.
Really?
Yeah, she added them on Twitter, and she's like, "Hey, vote for me. I'm in your district." I'm like, "I live in the same district, but I'm broke." So
they're in the rich part of Cobb.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to step away because it's very warm in my apartment. As much as I want to continue flexing the Ivy Park, this is a very warm sweater. So.
Yeah, trying to stun on us and you're over there hot.
To go get comfortable there.
But yeah,
all right, let's turn back to this broadcast real quick.
Also, quick note. I just want to say, Maine, shame on you for not getting Susan Collins out of here. That's all.
It's not over yet. It's only like
10%. It's not over yet, but I mean, like the lead that she has now, there's no making that up.
Nah, we'll see. We will see. All right, let's get back to this broadcast here.
Do you have something else more in North Carolina, or should I flip over to Ohio?
No, well, it's just the battle of the big counties. It's whereas the story in Florida is the president reaching into the Democratic stronghold of Miami-Dade. It looks like here what's happening in North Carolina is everybody's just maximizing their vote. The president looks like he may be maximizing it a little bit more than Joe Biden's maximizing his vote.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at Ohio, another important state at this hour. Okay. And I understand, look, we just have just over half of the vote in, but according to our exit polls, and help me out here as I pull this up, Joe Biden was actually doing well with some non-college educated white men in the state of Ohio, I believe. No, I'm sorry, I did not. I had the state wrong. Forgive me, but go ahead.
Michigan.
Sorry, Michigan he's doing. We'll talk about
Anthony, now stay in Ohio. Yeah, sure. Head towards Cincinnati, if you would, because the Biden team is telling me they seem to be performing better in the Cincinnati area.
Oh, Jesus.
And its suburbs than Hillary Clinton did 4 years ago. Is that what you're seeing?
So start in Hamilton, okay? And that's better than Hillary Clinton, okay? So that's part of it, all right? But you go out to Republican, okay? There's Biden. There's Hillary Clinton.
We're doing a little better.
10 points better. So the short answer to that is yes. Is it enough? We'll see. Because the other part of the state that I would point you to is up north around Cleveland. And it's these areas up around Cleveland. I'm going to show you a kaleidoscope of red and blue, the way that is trending right now.
You know,
Joe Biden doing okay, but maybe not.
Sorry, while they're going over that, I keep missing my time cues. I apologize. I just want to remind everybody that this live broadcast is brought to you by Natural Roots by Smoot. Beard balm, beard oil, hair and skin cream. Natural Roots by Smoot products are made with all natural ingredients such as cocoa and shea butter, olive oil and essential oils and honey, free of manufactured and artificial chemicals. Natural Roots by Smoot was started because they really believe that you can achieve amazing results with your hair and skin by using what nature's already provided. You can learn more by going to naturalrootsbysmoot.com. You'll see the link below at the bottom of your screens. Go there, check them out, check their deals while you can.
Being led by his appeal on the economy, the perception that he is stronger for them in that Rust Belt state. It may be a perception, given that many of the trade deals he promised over the past 4 years were only partially delivered on, right? He got the new North American free trade deal, but anything outstanding with China, he hasn't delivered on. But it's the promise, and it's something Joe Biden had hoped to eat away at.
We've got some exit polls coming up from the states of Ohio and Michigan that's going to tell us how many of these voters are breaking. Coming up, we'll update the state of the race. You're watching CBS News 2020, America Decides.
All right, stress. So I think it's going to be interesting as we kind of watch these things. Remember, Michigan and Pennsylvania are two areas where you're going to have late vote counts that come in, right? Your mail-in ballots are going to be counted after the live ballots. So what we have to be cautious of while we go through this is this red mirage that we might see, right? We don't know how it's officially going to end up, but we may see at the end of this night where Pennsylvania and Michigan are both red because we're waiting on vote tallies to come through from mail-in ballots that may lean more towards Joe Biden. So do remember that as we doom scroll tonight, as we kind of go through these different things. It looks like right now the closest battleground state to being called is Florida. It's likely going to go in Trump's favor. I just want to kind of prepare y'all for that. That's what's probably going to happen. Georgia is now going to be kind of knocked back a little bit because of what happened in Fulton County, as they are probably delaying counts. So just be mindful of those things as we see. What we really have to watch right now is Texas. Harris County votes have not come in yet, and it is we have Biden in the lead. So as we watch these counties come in, as we watch these precincts come in, we're going to really see some interesting results. I want to remind everybody, because Arizona is going to be closing here, I think in about 20 minutes. Arizona polls will start getting those numbers in. If we see Arizona and Texas go in favor of Biden, this thing is over. I mean, it's pretty much over at that point.
It's over. It's over.
We don't know what other crazy things happen.
Because Biden's a shoe-in for California. So with Texas and Arizona, it's over.
So just that right there is 49 electoral points, those two states, that it would take Trump flipping stuff to actively make up for. So that's what people need to keep in mind. Texas is the one that we have to keep an eye on tonight, because that's what's going to be really, really interesting. So we're gonna get back to the coverage. I'm gonna pour myself another drink and put my charger in. I'll be right back.
All right.
That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more, and that's healthy news for everyone. Eggland's Best, better taste.
I was gonna say one important thing to note about Texas is those several 100,000 votes that were allowed to be kept by the courts that were curbside votes, and it was too late for Republicans to contest. So I think that might be the game changer. So
when you sweat, you smell like a
what we saw in Texas is major, and it started with Beto, because that's when I was like, oh, Beto came within like less than a point of unseating Rubio in Texas, and
go ahead.
Okay, and I was about to say, and now we're seeing, like, in particular, like Harris County, like they said early on the broadcast, a lot of the Latino community is starting to come out too, and this is in direct opposition of Trump, because like the way he's affected that state in particular, like I think we're starting to see that
with the border wall.
Exactly.
Like,
So
Bush
I think
already fucked a lot of Texans with having a fence there, but if you're not in a border state, like having a border wall like fucks you, especially if you've got property there. It fucks you with being able to cross the border. So a lot of people really aren't aware of that, and also the way that children are being separated from families. It's hit hard in states like that, so they didn't forget. And also, there are Mexicans in that state that remember the comments made in 2016. So you like this shit's coming back to bite as well.
You can look at the title: white voters, non-college degrees, percentage over time voting Democratic. You can see a progression downward from 2008 to 2016, but slightly reversed in 2020. So Joe Biden did appeal to more of those, up to 42%.
I wonder why.
Part of the demographic pie in Michigan. Union households. How is the former vice president doing there? 61 to 37 advantage over President Trump. Again, a story about these union households in Michigan. What has it been? 67% in 2008. Again, a little bit of a decline down through 2016, bouncing back up in 2020. What can we deduce from this? That at least in Michigan, based on this exit poll data, Joe Biden did appeal to white voters with non-college degrees more than Hillary Clinton did, and to union households more than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. Not only appealing,
I think that's one of the key things is that like Hillary was qualified, but again, she really alienated a lot of people that were in a little bit more lower income without degrees, with white people. I think with Joe Biden, he doesn't alienate people like that as badly, so that might also play in his favor as well.
He won the presidency with 3 states and 77,000 votes. And so if the Democrats can recapture those states, even some of them up in the Midwest, that puts Joe Biden in a different position.
Precisely. And one of the things that happened in 2016 is those 3 states Hillary Clinton was aware of, but did not aggressively defend. The Biden campaign identified them, went there, and worked hard. So it's Harder for
I just also want to say one thing. Just because a certain demographic is voting one way, like especially with a lot of Latinos in Florida, that doesn't excuse you being racist towards them. Because I'm starting to see that on the timeline. It doesn't excuse it. You look trash.
Nah.
What is wrong? Like I think people like that, you're just looking at it for an excuse to be racist. You've already had those feelings. You just want an excuse to say them.
Yeah, because similar to the tweet you mentioned earlier, like me as a black man, it's not my space to speak out on basically issues of the Latino community. And just like if someone is white, it's not their place to speak out on issues of the black community. So those are things that have. Those are conversations that have to happen within those communities. So I can't say like, oh, those stupid Latinos down in Florida. Like, no, that's ignorant, and let's not do that. Let's not do that. That's not our place to say stuff like that.
You're still a racist.
Exactly.
Like
that's not our place to do.
And
stuff.
that shows that you already had those thoughts.
Right.
We
You're
can
just
acknowledge
looking for an excuse. Yeah.
We can acknowledge like, hey, a lot of white Cubans are voting for Trump, but it's not to say then when you say like, oh, all Latinos in Florida, you're being racist.
For the Senate, take a look. He's besting Cory Gardner.
Yeah, AP has always done that, and I
they called Virginia early, and now Trump is winning Virginia.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
U.S. Senate. I want to show you something else interesting. North Carolina.
Because a lot of media outlets want to be the first to call something, and that's what happened in 2000, and that's how one of the reasons that Bush won. So it matters, and a lot of it nowadays is just so they can get the first headline.
Yeah. So I guess the best way to expand on that is a lot of these are just like simply projections because we don't know. So if there are certain places reporting and they're reporting heavily towards one candidate, then they can pretty much extrapolate and say like, okay, this is probably likely going to be the outcome. But I hate these early projections because Alabama's. I mean, once again, it's Alabama, but if you're calling a state like 5 minutes after the polls closed, yeah, I've always hated that.
Can you bring us because it looks wrong, and people are like, "Oh, fuck Alabama." It's just like you don't know the numbers, you don't know how many people voted. So it is very frustrating, and that's why I really hate, especially in the pandemic when most people voted via mail, the early exit polls because they really don't mean anything right now.
Right.
Because some places, like in Cobb County, I think they said I don't think it's a majority, but it's close. People voted by mail or absentee.
But he faced a really strong challenge from Jamie Harrison.
Jamie Harrison.
He's a lawyer. He's the former chair of the state Democratic Party.
What's the percentage reporting?
Of Jimmy
It was like
behind him in the state.
I think Graham had like 53 to 54, excuse me, to 44.
But we don't know how many precincts are reporting. I can't see it.
Yeah, I can't see it like they just showed it.
But that's important. So
that is very important. Yeah.
We leave it out. Of course.
Go back just one tiny point.
Yeah, I just have that bad bottom of the pit of my stomach feeling with the way some things are going.
Democratic senator from Arizona will be the first time they have two Democratic senators from Arizona.
What I'm thinking now is that we're heading to like what I thought would be the worst possible outcome because I was like, if Biden comes out and wins handily, like to where.
And that is really
to where there's no discussion about what happened, then that's the best possible outcome. The worst possible outcome is if it's close. And I think that's where we're heading. I think it's going to be like I think it's going to be like almost like 2016, but in reverse.
News 2020 America.
So it's going to be super close as far as like popular vote wise, but I think Biden still may win the electorate, but yeah, it's going to be too close, and that's when
the Supreme Court will tip it in Trump's favor,
and that's when the shenanigans happen. Yeah,
Natural light is amazing.
So, and anyone saying this is fun, you need to go fuck yourself.
Basically.
Yeah, this is not fun. This is the opposite of fun.
At least Geico makes it easy to bundle our renters and car insurance.
Yeah, helping us save even more.
I hate this commercial so much.
I hate it too. I just the worst Geico commercial is the pig that cried all the way home.
Yes, the pig.
That one just makes me want to commit assault. Honestly, But let's also, since we talked about it, since we're on commercial break, let's talk about how The Big Bang Theory is one of the worst shows of all time. It's for people that think that they're smart, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And to me, it's to the point that it's hyped. It's almost worse than Friends. I say almost.
Yeah.
But it's so overhyped, and liking that show does not make you smart at all.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't make you quirky either.
I don't. Yeah. Like, to me, it's I can't think of very many shows that are as unfunny as that. Like, I hate that show with a passion. Like, I hate that show so much.
It's so not funny. It's so okay. 38% with Jamie Harrison and Lindsey Graham.
Okay.
We still have a ways to go. Wisconsin, I'm scared. So, yeah, with only 18%. But I have friends and followers in Wisconsin, and they said that their voter lines have been the longest they've ever experienced. So, Wisconsin was a state that flipped towards Trump, but it could flip back. So it's important.
Yeah, I think whatever. I think day one, if Biden is elected, like, we need to have a serious conversation about how we vote in this country, in particular, for the presidential election. It is crazy that as a state, voting for the same position, you can vote in a myriad of different ways. Like, this state could do this state could do that. Early voting here, no mechanism for early voting there. There needs to be one uniform way. And I've been beating this drum since, like, before I was even of age to vote. There needs to be early voting, and also the election day needs to be a national holiday.
It needs to be a national holiday.
Yeah,
and
it needs to be easier. Yeah.
I think, and I've personally said this as a government worker, I think government workers should be poll workers. I don't think it should be random people. I think it should be people that have to be held accountable, so you don't have situations where poll workers are committing voter suppression, either intentionally or because they're not educated. I don't think that should be allowed. I think, like, okay, you get double time if you want to work this holiday. So I think everyone should have early voting, because just having one day is how we get the obnoxiously long lines. I think they should abolish straight ticket voting. It's ridiculous. And I think they need to do ranked choice voting. But then again, that would cause Democrats to win almost every time. So it's not going to happen.
Right. And my big pie in the sky thing is the electoral college, but that won't happen anytime in our lifetimes.
I don't think in our lifetimes.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But that's my big pie in the sky thing. Electoral college needs to go bye-bye.
But yeah, I think before then, if we could get ranked choice voting.
Ron's not ready yet. My bad. Yeah, I catch him I caught him like mid bite. My bad.
Is New Hampshire actually a state that exists? I'm curious.
I don't think
Is it
so.
real?
I
think it's a mirage.
Who has actually been to New Hampshire?
Nobody.
Nobody.
It's a mirage. It's not real.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's a state around the Northeast, right? And it's leaning towards Trump. So y'all need to shut the fuck up about the South. That's all I'm saying.
I want to say real quick, I've been to New Hampshire.
Is it real?
It's real, but Wyoming.
Is it like the Bermuda Triangle?
New Hampshire. Yeah, the existence of New Hampshire.
Yeah. Are you sure it was New Hampshire, not just somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Now, Wyoming is what I question.
It's just like the actual middle states is like, is this place real? I want to know. So yeah, like I said, this is worst case scenario.
Yeah, just to shed some light on the process in other countries. In Canada, we have early voting. Election day isn't a national holiday, but on the bright side, employees can leave super early.
So Jonathan,
and take a layoff.
I'll say, like, as a government worker, like, they told us we could have 2 hours off, but it's only at the end of the day. And if you live in Atlanta, like, the traffic sucks, so it doesn't really contribute to much. And you can be pressured to not actually leave if you get slammed with work. Thankfully, my supervisor made sure none of us had work after 2:30, but still, I think that's ridiculous. I did see where someone in an equivalent position to me in Indiana, so state workers actually do get the whole day off, which is nice. But again, that's something that should be uniform. It shouldn't be up to the state. So
yeah, but let's say I'm like a part-time worker though who works.
You're not gonna get it off.
Let's say I'm a part-time worker who has kids and my shift is 10 to 4. Yeah, that's pretty tough, right? So when am I going to find time in the day to vote? And so that's why I say it needs to be there needs to be a mechanism for early voting, and also there needs to be like the election day needs to be a national holiday, basically.
Yeah, I forget what election it was, but there was an election in Alabama. I couldn't vote because I was working and I was in school. So people are like, oh, make time. Like, no, because I lived about 15 minutes from school and my work was about 20 minutes from school. So if I would have either been late to work, had to leave work early, or missed class. And unfortunately, I had a professor that wasn't very understanding. So it's like, I can't do any of those things. So I just couldn't vote. And in Alabama, there's no early voting. So I was shut out of luck because I couldn't vote because it's like I have class. So again, people would say, oh, just vote. You need to look at how difficult it actually is for some people to vote. I was really, it's not that easy, especially when polls close as early as 7.
All right, I'm back. I had to have something to absorb the Woodford Reserve.
By the way, my mom and Rizel, I have water. So thank you for the concern.
Same here.
So, because I'm not trying to be too hungover for tomorrow, especially with the way that things are looking. I don't want to be that sick.
Yeah.
Shout out to Drina, because that's absolutely right. I do also want to remind people that in Australia, voting is compulsory. So you're automatically registered, and you are sent mailing, basically saying that, hey, it's time to vote. Send in your ballot.
What a concept that every citizen is automatically eligible to vote. What a concept.
And they don't have to worry about being wiped from the polls.
Yeah, don't have to worry about being purged from the polls, right? Purged from the voting roll. Yeah.
At random.
I do wonder, we have selective service, right? Like that's a thing that exists. Wouldn't it make sense just to, when you sign up for selective service, you're automatically registered to vote?
Makes sense to me.
You can be penalized for not doing selective service, so why not take it a step further? Just, common sense. But hey, then again, we're in a country that originally was only white men allowed to vote, and they've wanted to keep it as close to that as possible for the longest time. So white men with land.
I was gonna say
a lot of the white men, right?
A lot of the white men, they're like, I would be covered. No, you're not, because you're fucking broke. So
just
you're poor.
Electoral college was also made out of the idea of trying to keep it in control of those white men who own land. So just adding that out.
Supposed to be the best. We're supposed to be number 1. Interesting.
So just kind of want to point out how obvious it should be that we should have a national popular vote. A lot of the arguments that people make for the electoral college really don't hold up when you actually start to think about it. But it is what it is. So we're now showing boarded up locations. So
yay. We love this narrative. It's a great narrative.
America's 15 seed, and not even like a scrappy 15 seed. Like they're immediately
going. It's like you only got here because you won your conference somehow by accident.
Right.
But who all's in our conference that we won over?
Not great.
like
America is in the Sun Belt Conference.
Hey man, no Sunbelt slander, honestly.
Sunbelt is better than that. I didn't even know.
Funbelt.
Sorry.
We're in the whack.
Yeah, we're in the whack. I was about to say we're in the whack.
Maybe Mountain West. All right, let's get back to the Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, definitely have to runoff territory here.
Matt Lieberman, go fuck yourself. You should have dropped out.
And Jackson, whoever you are.
And Jackson, whoever you are, you're not relevant.
And Valencia Stovall, you should have dropped out too.
Right now, he is trailing both of the top vote getters.
That's another reason why ranked choice voting is important.
Yes.
With 40% of the precincts reporting nationally, he has a lot of ground to try to make up.
He does, Sean, but anything can happen. We're halfway there, right? Probably not the results these supporters want to see, but they remain optimistic. Their eyes are glued to their phones, glued to the television sets, like many of you at home. So they are optimistic, but it is true that Loeffler.
I'm going to answer this question real quick from Jonathan. DC and Puerto Rico statehood is far more likely than electoral college being abolished.
Way more.
So I do think I'll counter y'all and say that I think the electoral college is abolished in our lifetime. once minority groups become the majority, and actually start holding some of those positions. We'll be old, but I think it'll happen.
Yeah, I think we might be elderly.
And that's when they'll be like, you know what?
Situation looks like. Yeah, the planet might be dying at that point. So no.
We'll see.
But also
Ilana Mar won her race, by the way. Ilana Mar won her race.
Good.
But also to follow up on Jonathan's question, I think the route for Puerto Rico is because the dynamics in Puerto Rico are interesting. So I think Puerto Rico will be given the opportunity to basically vote for their independence or fold into the union. I think they'll likely be their pathway, but I do think most likely DC well in the right circumstances, DC will be given a pathway to statehood before Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
and that's just my
actually,
opinion.
Holding a referendum very, very soon. Let me look and see. I want to say I just saw that. Actually, they're holding it tonight. They have a referendum tonight.
New Jersey has legalized marijuana. I'm just wanted to put that. AAP is projecting. So it's the 12th state to do so. So that's another kind of movement that's being pushed forward. So big changes that we're seeing that are slow but shouldn't be disregarded.
Get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 20.
Shout out to Oregon
Puerto
too.
Rico's
LSD.
referendum is a simple yes/no vote.
Let's go places.
Okay.
It is.
Can I talk about
Puerto
what's going on
Rico's
in
referendum
Oregon?
is a simple.
Can I talk about?
Hold on. I want to. Yeah, 1 second. I want to point this out. Puerto Rico is a simple yes/no vote. In the past, they had three options. They had yes statehood, no statehood, or become independent. That is not on the ballot this time. It is a simple yes/no vote, and that's happening tonight. So that'll be interesting to watch, because if Biden wins the presidency, there's possibility for Puerto Rico to be added if it's a resounding yes. So Courtney, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So a lot of people, there's a lot of controversy. So in Oregon, there is I believe it's an amendment going around, and I may not have, so to decriminalize, and that is the key term here, is decriminalize. I want people to pay attention. Things like cocaine and heroin. I wholeheartedly support this, and I want you to listen to me. Decriminalize means you're not going to be serving lifetime sentences for this, and no one should ever, in my opinion, be serving a lifetime sentence for drug use. No one, because that's one of those things where it's, again, we need to abolish the criminal system as it is and rebuild it, but it's easier said than done. One of the ways that we can slowly get towards this is to decriminalize a lot of drugs. It does not mean that, we're not going to try to find help. I think what Oregon's doing is great, because it means we need to find an alternative rather than just throwing people behind bars and fucking them over for life. And when they get out of prison, they can't get a job because they're a felon. They can't do all these things. So it's a great step towards actually rehabilitating people. So a lot of people, and especially you'll get these Republican talking points, it's like, oh, they're going to allow people to do everything. So no, it's not that. It's decriminalizing. So we're not just throwing people behind metal bars just because they're a drug addict, because it is a disease. Shut up. Shut up. I have training in psychology. I know more than you. If you're going to disagree, I know more than you. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. So anyway, that's what we need, that everywhere. We need to decriminalize drugs everywhere to help kind of deplete the prison system. They're overwhelming, and almost, I don't have the statistics with me on hand, but it's almost always drug felons that are overwhelmingly filling the prison systems. So if we can take steps towards decriminalizing drug usage and actually giving people treatment, I think that's massive. So I hope it gets passed.
Yeah. Thanks for adding that. That's very important, because I think a lot of people don't realize the difference between
massive difference in legalizing.
There's a massive difference. Yeah.
So we need to actually treat people instead of throwing them behind metal bars. Like it doesn't solve anything. Statistically, many studies have been done. It doesn't help anybody. And they're more likely, it's called recidivism. Look it up. They're more likely to go back to prison if after all these things, because you can't get a job, you can't get approved for a home loan, a lot of these things. So look into it, research things you don't know. And again, if you don't have training in mental health or psychology, then don't try to argue with me on it, because I know more than you.
So is it up to the statehood who gets? So is it up to the state who gets statehood, or is it bigger than that?
It's bigger than that.
Yeah. So like Ryan said, there is a referendum first and foremost for these territories to basically be like, okay, do you officially? Because by the way, U.S. Has like a lot of like territories. You know, shout out to imperialism, by the way. But much like they're doing in Puerto Rico, you ask the residents of this area like if they want to be admitted to the union, like in full capacity to have a pathway to statehood. And then likely what will happen after that under a Biden administration is it will go then to our Congress, and then they'll, you know, agree or disagree to bring this state into the union. So first it starts with this referendum that's in Puerto Rico, and like Ryan said, it's a yes/no vote. And then if there's a resounding yes, then yes, that's the first step into them being, you know, folded into the statehood. And
So go ahead.
I feel like it like I said, I feel like Puerto Rico, because like I said, imperialism sucks. So Puerto Rico needs to be given the option to either go independent, to basically make their own choice, because like I said, it's totally up to them. But DC, I think they totally need to be admitted as a state, because if you look at what DC is, I mean, DC has electoral votes, but it doesn't have representation.
They don't have the representation they need.
Yeah, so it's totally it should be a state.
This should not happen, but I feel like states that were kind of annexed, like Hawaii, should get an option to leave if they want to.
I agree.
Because that's one thing I'm seeing resounding from Native Hawaiians, not from the white people that live on Hawaii, is that they want out. They want out because these white people are making decisions for them, and you know, in the name of making money for tourism, is wrecking their ecology. So I don't think that would happen in my lifetime, but in my dream, my dream world, Hawaii, places like Hawaii, like Guam, Puerto Rico, they get if you're already a state, you get an option to leave, and not only leave, but the United States kind of helps to provide financial help for you to leave, because they're the ones that debilitated you. It's not just that. I think with Puerto Rico, the same. And like in my mind, like if you get a chance for independence, because it's going to debilitate them. Because the United States forced you into that deal, they help you out, but it would never happen. But it should happen. And I also just wanted to say something that we shouldn't be surprised for. So if Trump tries to announce victory, do not listen. That Pennsylvania has officially announced that we will not get election results from them tonight.
Oh yeah, and without Pennsylvania, like we really can't call anything tonight. So anything you hear tonight is going to be a lie.
It's a projection.
Yeah.
So
sorry about that. I don't know. My whole system just was like, no, you don't have internet anymore. So I got booted there. We need to run our sponsor real quick. And then when we come back, we'll kind of tune into some more of this coverage as more states are reporting their votes.
Natural Roots by Smoot believes that you can achieve amazing results for your hair and skin by using what nature's already provided. With beard balms and oils and hair and skin creams made free of manufactured and artificial chemicals, the results speak for themselves. Try their lemon peppermint hair and skin cream, 4 ounces for $9 or 8 ounces for $18. Try a set of the Cedar Forest Beard Balm and Beard Oil for $12. Natural Roots by Smoot was started because he really believes that you can achieve amazing results with your hair and skin by using what nature has already provided. Learn more by going to naturalrootsbysmoot.com. That's naturalrootsbysmoot.com.
President Trump pretty much dead and buried in almost every one of these states. Not all of them, Ohio for sure, but certainly it's moving into a direction that is much
unfortunately, AP has projected Lindsey Graham to be the winner of South Carolina.
Yeah,
which is disappointing. However, it's a big sign for possibly future elections. So it's like not something, you know, it is really disappointing because I hate Lindsey Graham too, but it's a promising sign for what could be growing more in the future. So don't, you know, let it 100% get to you. Just look for maybe we can get him next time. So, because that was extremely close, especially considering it's South Carolina.
And that should not have happened. It should not have been as close as it was. So, couple things to note here. Right now, Trump has looks like a 1.3 lead in Texas. But we do not have full
a lot of ties.
Yeah, we don't have full precincts in a lot of rural counties, but also we don't have full precincts in Dallas County. I can't think of the county for Austin. I think it's only at 70%. Harris County, which is Houston's only at 70%, and San Antonio, which is Bexar County, is only at 70%. So there's a lot of votes to be had there. It's not over by any means, just because Trump does have the lead, but that is something to keep an eye on. That's based on AP projections. Looking at Georgia right now, let's see. We still have right now. Trump has a pretty substantial lead there by about 12%. But most of Atlanta Metro has not reported. Gwinnett County has 0% precincts reporting.
And Fulton County, part of them we're not getting until Friday.
Yeah. Henry County is at 0. Fulton County is at 25%. Columbus, which is another blue region, the Black Belt. Black Belt has, for the most part in Georgia, has been counted outside of Quitman County. And then we're still waiting on Bibb, which is Macon, Bibb, which is part of Macon. We're still waiting on most of Augusta, which is Richmond County. So there's a lot of stuff out here that still hasn't been reported yet, including Metro Atlanta, which is where most of these votes are going to come in. So just kind of be mindful of that, especially mail-in ballots as well. We still won't know, until deeper in the night. So let's go ahead and switch back to coverage and see what's going on.
Nora, I think that Valerie raises a very interesting point about the turnout. I mean, the American people are speaking up, regardless of how you're feeling about either candidate. They're speaking up because you really are looking at a case of two Americas. And I think that's what's troubling or encouraging, depending on where you're coming from. And I think, John, when you think of the two Americans, what are we looking at here?
Well, on some issues, like let's say the most important issue to most people, which is coronavirus, or at least the polls have showed that coming into election day, you see people who see it as a public health issue, and then you see others who believe it's a part of personal liberty, that they shouldn't have their personal liberty infringed on by the state, and that as a result of that infringement, the economy has gone into the tank. And so it's not just a question of economy versus health. It gets at these very, very, very basic elements of personal freedom that President Trump put his finger on in 2016 and has a connection with his voters that goes right to that. And that is at the heart of American.
But I was also thinking about the two different types of men. I mean, these are two different types of men that put on two very different campaigns. And America is responding, seeing, it seems, on both sides.
And that's why everybody is tuning in. They want to know how those voters are going to, who's going to turn out and ultimately win this presidency tonight, because it is about a contest of values. It is a contest of character. It is a contest about the direction that we want to head in this country. And that's why people are still watching and nervous at home, waiting for us. And that's why we're giving you every single detail we have as we can.
When we talk about,
You've heard people say that democracy's on the ballot. Democracy.
Well, and democracy is working really, really well, by the way. We've got lots of people voting this far into the night without having to break into some. I mean, democracy has won really well in this process. But we were talking about if you look at where President Trump is.
I need this white man to shut up.
Basically blue collar voters, people who think their future is better in his hands. He's going to fight for them. He's not going to sign up for these bad trade deals. Then you see white college women who are leaving the president and going to Joe Biden. They think their future of their kids and is going to be worse under President Trump, and they find him offensive. So those are the two Americas when you think about not how one group splits between the two, but how each candidate has power in different groups.
Nora, I just wanted to flag for you, because Florida is such an important state, that Homeland Security, which has been doing regular briefings, is acknowledging an internet outage in Osceola County, Florida, but said it has been resolved because they're actually driving the results from there to another location. So if some of that data is pokey and coming in, perhaps that's a factor. But their Secretary of State had said that there was a lot of cyber activity that has been detected, but Homeland Security saying their defense has worked.
The big story tonight is, of course, the huge unprecedented turnout and, of course, the slow counting in some places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. And I want to bring in and check in with our CBS News election law expert, David Becker. David, you heard what Reince Priebus was saying about the vote counts in the upper Midwest. Clarify, if you could, what we know.
So what's happening is when someone goes in on election day to vote in the polling places in states, those go right into scanners and they're ready to report out very shortly after the polls close. But specifically in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, all of the early and absentee ballots, they were stacking up and they could only start being processed today. And by processing, that means they're reviewing the outside of the envelope. Once they've validated the ballot, they remove the ballot from the envelope, and only then can it go into a scanner. So there's going to be a natural delay.
I just wanted to say that, unfortunately, unfortunately, per WSFA 12, that Tommy Tuberville has won the Senate election.
David, I have a question about our whole system and ballot counting and how we vote. This just seems insane to me that we're sitting here 3 hours later, 4 hours later, and we can't get we can't get a count. Do you ever envision a day where there's a uniform count in this country?
Well, it certainly would be nice. We do have to remember that we're trying to count 150 million or so ballots in just a few hours, and that's really hard to do in a process that's being run by millions of volunteers. But you know, the advantage that states like Florida, for instance, have, and North Carolina, is that the laws in those states allow those ballots to be processed, the early mail ballots to be processed prior to Election Day. So they were ready to go. We're going to get results, nearly complete results from those states tonight. Whereas Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, they didn't have laws that were as flexible and amenable for election officials to process these earlier.
All right, David Becker, thank you. And as he points out, done by volunteers, maybe 150 million votes. Democracy takes time. It does not mean that the process is rigged or that there's something or fraud going on. It just takes time to do that. Also, an update for you right now. CBS News can now characterize Texas as leaning toward President Trump. There's a lot more to come, including projections and the state of the race. You're watching CBS News 2020, America Decides.
All right, we're entering scary hours. As mentioned before, again, nothing in Texas has been called yet. We will see how it goes. It is likely that Trump does win it. We will not know Georgia for some time, and North Carolina is very, very close, at least in the Senate race to being called. It is a 1% difference right now with Tom Tillis in the lead, but still about 10% of precincts left to go. So it should be noted that even if Trump does win Texas again, Joe Biden's pathway did not include it. A lot of it really rests on Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, and we'll see where that goes. I should point out right now in the presidential race, North Carolina is less than a percentage difference, again, with 10% left to go. And Trump leads by about 90,000 votes. No, I'm sorry. I have my math completely wrong. About 30,000 votes right now in North Carolina. So it is razor thin margins. This is according to what AP has. So we should really kind of make those distinctions that no matter really what happens here right now, there's still a lot left to cover. Including Arizona, which right now Biden with 71% of precincts reporting has a 9-point lead. That does not include Maricopa County, which is where Phoenix is, which is likely going to be sort of the large point of this election tonight. Maricopa County, where it goes, will pretty much determine where that state goes. So that should be kept here. I also want to point out Ohio. Let me go ahead and pull up Ohio. While I'm looking at it with AP, if I can get it to click correctly. Okay, Ohio right now is in favor of Trump by about 5 points, 80% of precincts reporting. But we still have not gotten, we're not even halfway through counting Franklin County, which is Columbus, barely halfway through counting Hamilton County, which is Cincinnati, not even a quarter of the way through Lucas County, which is Toledo. And then the Cleveland metro area is not even at halfway, with the exception of one county, which is Mahoning County. So again, a lot of stuff happening, a lot of moving pieces. So try not to doom scroll, try not to feel doom and gloom. It would be nice if we can get Texas, but there are other things on the table. If North Carolina or Georgia can go to Biden, then again, this can be sort of an early night as far as this election is concerned. If not, we have to remember Pennsylvania, Michigan, these are states that are going to be counting into the week. So we could be looking at a situation where Joe Biden is depending on flipping back the stuff that Hillary lost in the Midwest. We don't know yet. Hopefully what it's looking like right now is that he can get Arizona. And if he can get Arizona, that'd be a huge plus. So let's kind of go and check out this election center as they talk about North Carolina.
One time, Barack Obama won it in 2008 by just a narrow margin, but it is a battleground state tonight, and look at those numbers.
Razor tight in the counted vote. You actually see the numbers updating as they come in live here at the decision desk. The story here, okay, 88% of expected vote counted. That's still 706,000 ballots left. But the thing is, we always look at what does the trailing candidate need to catch the other one? Well, anytime you see this hovering around 50%, that's easy to do, right? Especially in a close race. So there's no way you can project that race. And then let me show you this in Georgia down here, which is also very tight. And here's why. The raw counted vote, you see the president up. But the model estimates that Joe Biden could take the lead. And the reason that it does that, I'll very clearly show you what happens here. I'm going to go to DeKalb County. It's a very large county. And look at this. Only 2,000 votes in, only 1,000 votes in for the president. If I show you this, only 1% of the vote has been counted. So we know it's a Democratic county. The model can incorporate that.
Not do Gwinnett.
See the votes actually counted to see if that adds up. And that's why the race.
Just a few seconds. Can you show us Arizona? Because there's new numbers coming in the state of Arizona.
There are indeed. The place to watch in Arizona is Maricopa County. So far, Joe Biden with a lead. He would need to lead it in order to win it.
All right. And if you were watching 60 Minutes on Sunday, you know that John Dickerson was just there and had quite a story. And so when we come back, he's going to fill us in on what's changing in Arizona, why that's a state that the Democrats think that they could flip blue. We're going to take a short break. Be sure to download the CBS News app to track all your local races on your phone or.
All right, I'm muting them right now since they're going to break. But again, that stuff that's promising, right? So Texas was a dream. Georgia is a dream. Arizona is very much in play, and that can mean really good things for Biden's team. So again, you're looking at right now what is a 9-point lead as votes from Maricopa County come in. Where this could really push things in Biden's favor. So we got to remember those things. We got to keep an eye on those things as we go through the night. I'm really interested in seeing what happens with Georgia because the numbers that he pushed alone based off of projection sound really promising. But I'm really waiting for these Gwinnett County votes to come in because right now, no precincts reporting for Gwinnett County. And it should be noted, or no percentage of precincts, but it should be noted based on votes cast right now, which we're looking at 68% total, 68,000 total votes cast in Gwinnett County. 41,000 of them are for Biden, including 2 in my household. So, but I want to point that out because these are things, again, if we look at a situation where it's Georgia and Arizona, again, that favors Biden. If it's Georgia, Arizona, and North Carolina, you can probably sleep a lot better at night, tonight, because that likely means that, again, it's Biden's race at that point, even if he loses Wisconsin, right? Because Georgia, Arizona, and North Carolina make up, I want to say, about 42 electoral votes. So he could lose Wisconsin and still be okay. So I don't know if y'all want to add anything there.
Yeah, I was about to say, and I've been giving my projections for like the last 3 weeks. This is a lot closer than I expected. And once again, I am the pessimist of the group. So this is still a lot closer than I expected. So I think it really, much like the point that they were trying to make, I really think that it says a lot about the two Americas that are, at conflict right now. And it's insane that it's this close.
Because it should be.
One thing I wanted to say for people, the first thing you shouldn't be doing is blaming a certain group of people, especially blaming minorities or whatnot, because apparently that's the first thing people like. That's one thing you need to kind of be focusing on, like, what could I do? What can my community do different? What went wrong? What went different? That's what you need to be focusing on. I think a lot of people do that, and I think people need to avoid doing that. Again, if the worst case scenario does happen, that's the last thing we need to be doing. I just want to put that out there because I already see people doing it. Like, oh, this group didn't vote enough. It's like, no, you need to focus on yourself.
I'm not looking at Twitter right now. I'm not. It's not.
And one thing I wanted to add too, is people that are shocked, like, I think for even people in like more blue areas, that Twitter is such a bubble that like leans overwhelmingly progressive. Even though there are a lot of QAnon people and stuff, it still leans overwhelmingly progressive. So you have to, and so people are shocked, but you have to remember, I agree with Rizel, because she's in Michigan right now, so I can only imagine the amount of anxiety. But it's an echo chamber, and you have to remember that, especially that you only follow people that you want to follow. So
I want to reset the conversation here, Courtney, if I may, just because I think a lot of people kind of get caught up in something that's not really. Look, we got caught up in this idea that Biden was going to come in and he was going to win Texas, he was going to win Florida, and those things were still reaches, right? That is not needed for him to win. And that's what we have to get people to remember is that, yes, the results in Florida are upsetting. However, and the result in South Carolina is upsetting, but that was not expected. Lindsey Graham should not have been that. Jamie Harrison should not have been that close. So we need to remember that. We also need to look at some of these places like Arizona that are on the verge of flipping. We need to look at places like Minnesota, which is likely going to go blue. We need to be paying attention to Wisconsin and Michigan. A lot of this was likely going to come if Trump overperformed to still those three states, the Michigan, the Pennsylvania, the Wisconsin, which we are not going to know for a few days' time. I think Wisconsin is the only one that we'll probably figure out. But there are still, what we've been looking for is a way to end this now. You know what I'm saying? Is a way for this to be over right now. That would include him winning Texas or Florida or Georgia, etc. We're not going to know Georgia because of the situations with the pipe bursting in Fulton County. So we need to understand those things, that Biden, based on what's going on right now, on projections based on whose votes haven't been counted, is still likely to win Georgia. So that is a good result. But even if those go away and end up red for Trump, it's not over. And that's the point that I'm trying to make to everybody here tonight, is that all we could learn tonight is a Biden landslide. It doesn't mean that there's no Biden win. And I want to kind of get everybody to step off the ledge a little bit. Let's calm down. It's not over. Again, see Georgia, 52% of precincts reporting. That's not hitting the Atlanta metro area, which is overwhelmingly blue. And that's what I need people to kind of keep their focus on. Keep the guide going, because regardless, there's work to do. But we need to understand that Texas and Florida, or Texas in particular, was a long shot, and it's not over yet anyway. So anything y'all want to add before we get back into the coverage?
Yeah, I was about to say, not to be a shithouser here, but for lack of better terms, but if Trump is the night with the lead, and I say that in air quotes, we really need to start looking at the possibility that he's going to do all he can to say he won tonight. That won't be true, of course, because as Ryan said, there are lots of votes, accounted votes, that still need to be counted. But I just want people to prepare themselves for that possibility. So that's all I want to add.
Mm-hmm. And that was the plan too. It was leaked and he denied it, but that absolutely is the plan, which is why ideally we wanted Joe Biden to run away with it, but that's not what's happening. So people need to focus. And again, things are not going to be going back to normal anytime soon. Sorry if for some reason you were delusional enough to think that. So the work isn't even close to being done.
I want to point out too, when we talk about those things, when we talk about this could still be a landslide. Like we're not, again, we're waiting on Arizona, which looks like it can go Biden. We're waiting on Georgia, which is really a toss-up until the metro counties come in. And we're waiting on North Carolina. If those three go in Biden's favor, it's still a landslide, even if it doesn't include Texas or Florida. So that's the thing. Trump won with 306 electoral votes last time. You need 270 to win. So he's only 36 over, right? So there only needs to be 36 electoral votes captured from his previous map. The ones that people were looking at, or 37, I mean, the ones that people were looking at were Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, because that puts it at, I want to say it's like 46 or 47 votes. I'm not looking at an electoral map right now. But if you have Arizona, okay, now you don't need Wisconsin, right? Now, if you have Arizona, then you can get Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and still win. If you get Georgia, well, now you don't need Michigan, even though Michigan is really in Biden's corner once these votes start coming in. The polling is showing that he has an overwhelming lead. So if those votes hold true to those polls, or even within a 5% margin of error, then he has Michigan. If you get North Carolina, then you still kind of need Pennsylvania, but not really. I haven't done the electoral math, but it makes his path to 270 more likely. And that's what we're trying to say. Also keep an eye on Omaha metro area, which is Nebraska's 2nd district, because that one electoral vote could prove very crucial. We got breaking news here. Let's go and see what it is.
Washington live desk for us. Megan.
Hi, Rick. Yeah, we've been updating some races throughout the night. Let's look at some numbers that are coming in as far as races that have been called when it comes to House races here in Georgia. Some incumbents, it looks like they are holding their seats right now. District 1 in the Savannah area goes to Republican Buddy Carter. District 2, southwest part of the state in the Albany area goes to Democrat Sanford Bishop. And District 3 in West Georgia will go to Republican Drew Ferguson. And now in District 8, which covers parts of Middle and South Georgia, that's going to Republican Austin Scott. District 9, North Georgia, this goes to Republican Andrew Clyde. He is taking Congressman Doug Collins' old seat. Back into you.
Thank you, Megan. You are watching CBS 46 Election Night 2020. America decides.
All right, so that was unimpressive breaking news. Those were a lot of House seats that were expected to go red anyway. So the ones that we're keeping an eye on, I keep getting the district wrong. It's 10 or 11. Dana is she 11 or 10?
She's 11. We're 11.
Okay, so 11 is what we're keeping an eye on. We're also keeping an eye on Lucy McBath's seat, which was 6. We're also keeping an eye on Carolyn Bordeaux versus Rich McCormick, which I believe is District 7. So 6, 7, and 11 are the ones that we're really keeping an eye on for Georgia House seats. There are a couple other flippable House seats in terms for Democrats across the country. I don't have them in front of me. My apologies, but we should kind of note that as well. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of keep up with some of these AP results here. We're still at looking at Michigan right now. Still haven't really gotten any increase in precincts here. Let me pull Georgia again and see if we've gotten any increase here. Biden closing the gap a little bit, but yeah. All right, let's go back into the broadcast here.
America decide. This is your night, and welcome back to CBS News Election Headquarters in Times Square. We're watching returns come in from 44 states where the polls have closed across America. Let's take a look at the states we've been calling the notable 9 all night. That may decide this election. Right now, Florida is the only of those notable 9.
Michael just sent me an article because I forced him to the other room from Atlanta Local News that Gwinnett is facing issues now, that about 80,000 mail-in ballots are going to be delayed because of software processing issues.
Oh my God.
All right, that's going to be interesting.
Here we go.
Note the demographics of the counties. If anyone was here for Stacey Abrams,
to be counted because there is such an unprecedented vote out there.
Yeah, here we go all over again. It's the same thing.
Only Florida is the one that has any tinge of color to it. In all those states the president's defending, they're all toss-ups still, even though a lot of votes have come in.
Right. And you guys know part of the fun of election night is watching the states tick off, so you can watch the red turn to blue or blue turn to red, and you're pulling for your candidate. And to hear it still early as we sit here at 10:30. When does it become late, Nora? Midnight, 1 a.m.?
I'm no longer on the morning schedule.
Yes, I know. I know. So
But you're usually asleep by now.
In 2016, it was what, 2:45?
Yes, we were here till 2:30.
That's
I remember that.
I do remember there were some hamburgers involved late in the middle of the night. But let me, as we were all together then. John, let's talk about Arizona.
I want to point out before they get to this real quick. Another thing to note is that when these news desks report 100% in, it does not include mail-in ballots. So that is in-person precincts. That's another thing to keep in mind. Georgia may get to 100%, but if mail-in ballots aren't counted, then it's not over yet. So that's another thing to kind of push here.
In size.
I kind of wanted to say something that I saw on Twitter too from Ashley Holcomb. Shout out Ashley. So she kind of reminded us that there are no real progressive media outlets out here. Just to kind of remember that these are people that kind of treat the election like it's a football game and that they're announcing. And that, especially with CNN, we're not watching CNN, but CNN only covered protests when there was a chance of property being destroyed. So to also be careful and mindful of the media that you're consuming, again, because they're joking and stuff. I get it because it's their jobs, but still, while we're doom scrolling and almost getting depressed over this, just know how conservative most of the outlets are and in the way that they're projecting this. So
if this is getting to you mentally, turn off your stuff, turn off your devices, go watch a movie, go do something that takes you away from this. I want people to realize that we are not getting final counts for the most part tonight. So stuff that is close is still going to be close, right? Florida may very well go to Trump. That's fine. But there's so many.
sorry. I'm laughing because I gotta put him on the screen. I gotta put him on the screen. I gotta put him on the screen. Yeah. AJ, talk to us, man.
I'm not gonna be here for a minute, but I'm on here mostly to say that number one, this is Ruth Bader Ginsburg's fault. Number two, I told y'all again, and all the people who said we're gonna listen to you next time in 2020, they didn't. And this ain't the blue wave that we thought it was gonna be. Like, I still have hope, but my worry is that if this orange tangerine faced fuck is up at midnight in these states, that's gonna be the shit that the Supreme Court uses to advance him the victory in this. And again, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg's fault. I just want to make that known. It's blame the white woman.
I mean,
I'm gonna say it too, and I've been saying this. People are like, "Oh, sexism," but no, like it's your pride. Like you were very old and you had already fought cancer before. She should have stepped down when Obama asked. It's not sexism. It's just
once again,
the worst that possibly happened.
And once again, when we are talking about someone's legacy, we must talk about all of it. So
every bit of it.
So as great as she is, she's a trailblazer. She was asked by a president at the time to step down so he can put in someone because he knew that her time was coming.
Mm-hmm.
She chose not to
because of pride.
That's her. That's her.
Black man. We don't know
exactly. So that's her lasting legacy now. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, and I just, like I said, I didn't come on here to derail the show. I just, I wanted to make those points known. Like, I'm not worried that Biden isn't going to get more votes. I'm not worried that he's not going to get more electorate votes. I'm worried that this is going to be close enough for the Supreme Court to intervene. And with those three lawyers who served on Bush's legal team, and the fact that the Dems are spineless cowards, and the fact that mail-in ballots couldn't be counted, and you still got 3 states with cases pending that going to the Supreme Court that Amy Coney Barrett has not ruled on, like, this could all lead to disaster. And this is like not to pick on my boy, but this is the shit I was telling B Will about either yesterday or the day before, when I told him this ain't gonna be the blue wave we think it's gonna be, and this shit is going to be close enough that if the Supreme Court can intervene, they will, and that is going to screw us over if that happens.
Yeah,
and that's my fear.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I said earlier. I want people to accept the possibility that if this goes into the night and Trump gets a lot of these in-person votes, then yeah, like you said, he's going to then weaponize the Supreme Court to call him the winner.
Try to get a super majority as well.
Right.
I will. Oh, hold on. We got an update. Let's figure out what's going on here.
Leaning toward Biden. Now, this is a lean. It can change. But we want to check in with Anthony Salvanto because this is
75% in.
Montana's something to keep an eye on too, Senate-wise.
It is something that Joe Biden had wanted to add to the Democratic column as a safety against some of the other states.
North Carolina's letting me down.
Yeah, and the fact that Montana's governor race is also leaning blue, that's one thing to watch. Is again, we told Jonathan that sometimes they can differ, but if all of their races are leaning the same way, that's a pretty strong indicator.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I will say, Montana, people don't give it credit because it's Montana. But Montana is a purple state. They will have a Democratic governor and they will have a Republican senator. And
there's a lot of black service people there.
Yeah, they flip a lot back and forth. And it is mainly a moderate state. So you don't have a lot of like strong MAGA people, but you don't have a lot of progressives, right? Like they're all kind of in the center. So they can lean either way. So that's something to point out there. Steve Daines is a very strong Trump supporter, but Steve Bullock is basically one of those old school blue dog Democrats who would still vote in favor of a lot of things that Biden wants to do. So that is a Senate race to keep an eye on.
Maricopa County, we'll watch it going forward.
And why we are characterizing this state as lean. Biden also has to do with what we're hearing from the exit polls and some of those voters. I want to check in with Major Garrett about why people voted the way they did.
Exactly, Nora. There are two pieces of demographic data from Arizona that I think reveal why Anthony just moved it to a lean Biden. And again, this is exit poll data collected not just day of, but for those who voted early in person and who voted by mail and were then called by the exit poll surveyors. So let's go first to 65 and older in Arizona.
I don't know a single person that has ever been called by a surveyor.
Yeah, me either.
Donald Trump won this.
Never.
I mean, not that I would answer if I was, because
so that is an 18-point swing.
I just don't know anybody that has.
So I'm looking at my 270 to win it map, and I've just cautiously put NC, Georgia, Ohio, and PA in Dump's category because of the fuckery that could go on there. And if he gets AZ, he would have exactly 270, assuming Michigan and Wisconsin go to him.
Flip to Biden.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we need to keep an eye on that. I mean, it looks like Arizona is going to be crucial in this right now.
Yes.
Yes. And I think it should also be noted that Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania, is kind of pushing their own lawyers in this fight too, because they have long said and they have been banging the drum of we won't know our count until Friday. So that's something to point out here. The Biden team has also highlighted how they have gotten a lot of funding for their law team. If this goes to this, so what we need above anything is a stall, right? Like we need a stall as long as possible for these votes to come in. We need it to be close. Yeah, it looks like Trump is starting to pull away in Texas here. We'll see what happens. But this is something where again, between Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, and what's the other one I'm missing? And Ohio that are left open. If Biden can pull one of them, I feel better. If he can pull two of them, I feel pretty good. So
yeah, I'm looking at NC right now, and it's wild because they just called the race for Cooper. 52 to 47, but Dump is ahead right now.
Yeah,
and Tillis is up right now. So it's looking like North Carolina might go Cooper for governor, but Republican for president and Senate, which is some outright.
Well, I want to point out too, with North Carolina, it's a 50,000 vote difference. This is a 1% difference right now in the presidency, and for the Senate right now, so 500,000 votes, and then for the Senate, you're looking at Tillis is up by about
rely on people actually having a job.
80,000 votes. So that gap is a little bit wider, but we still don't have most of Raleigh. Wake County is only at 47%. Mecklenburg County is almost complete. Greensboro is at about 76%. So those are the big ones that have to report here for us to get final results.
Yeah, Raleigh was. I remember in 2016, Raleigh being a little slow to report. So that's not surprising to me.
Yeah, they're at 47% right now. So
okay, yeah. So there's still a lot of votes out there for him. So Raleigh could come in big.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Fuck Tommy Tuberville for apparently saying on stage, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's the worst thing. Like he's like it's a good thing. It's privilege. Fuck you, Tommy Tuberville. I'm gonna say it. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
See, we should have had your dad cut the fuck Tuberville promo.
He's asleep, right? Yeah. He had a feeling too, and he's like, my dad loves Doug Jones, but like I don't think you're gonna find many people that hate Tommy Tuberville for a long time more than my father, who is an Alabama fan. He has over a decade resentment towards this man, and the fact that he ran the way that he did. My dad, he's like, I just want to meet him in public. Now, that's me saying hypothetically if anyone wants to be a cop and report my dad, but no. Fuck you, Tommy Tuberville. Like I can't stand your ass.
Yeah, like I was sitting here for like an hour and a half after I got off work, just because I don't have cable, so I've just been looking at the interactive map on MSNBC, and I said I wasn't gonna watch any of this shit. And I got up and I was like, I have to exercise. And I still haven't eaten dinner yet. It's almost 11 o'clock and I still haven't eaten my dinner yet. And I'm just like, this feels like 2016 all over again. When those states that you thought were gonna lean blue are leaning him, and it's a narrow lead and it's too close to call. And I said it earlier tonight. I said something don't feel right. This feels like 2016.
Wouldn't be surprised if you're right.
Also, Tommy Tuberville also said during a pandemic with record unemployment, they can all go to hell and get a job towards all the liberals in Alabama.
$25 for a 1 month or 3 month
I
prescription.
hope this man falls and breaks his hip. I do.
I'm 53. But in my mind,
Yeah.
I'm still 35.
That compared to Doug Jones.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed in North Carolina right now. If the governor race has this far of a margin, but the fucking presidency and Senate are this damn close.
And I'm really thinking it may be because people didn't check the presidential ballot. I'm really wondering. We need to compare the numbers. I'm really thinking, and I hate to be one of those people, but this is where it's really enraging. Where it's like, my vote doesn't matter. It's just like Georgia used to be a state where the vote didn't matter, but it piles up.
So the vote totals I'm seeing, Tillis and Trump are about the same. Cunningham is different. Cunningham's total is way less than what Biden's total is. So it's looking more like the Dems didn't check him, or like some people just went in, voted president, and nothing else. Which is
also likely.
Which again is like, are you people fucking stupid? Like, what good is Joe Biden as president if he has a right-leaning Senate? Won't shit get done, and we'll be right back in this mess.
Yeah,
I mean, look what happened in 2010 and 2012 with Obama. I mean, that's what happened. People were like, "Oh, job well done," and then they got Obama debilitated because it was a Republican majority.
Yeah, so it's looking like a 200, between 150 and 200,000 vote difference for Cunningham and
306. That's
Biden.
2016.
Yeah, I also want to point out here that if North Carolina comes off the table, then we need another upset in the Senate.
Carolina, very
so right now you have the possibility of Arizona flipping, but we lost Alabama, so now we still need a few other upsets. We need Gideon to pull through in Maine. We need
let's put that in the top.
we need a couple other
and as I just
of these to come through. Georgia has to come through. So it's going to be really interesting as we kind of get down the line here. Montana as well. So we got to keep an eye on those.
Did they just flip Nevada red?
I don't know why they did that. Let me take a look at it.
But I have just been talking to some.
I think one thing to know is that even if Biden wins, and I'm not sure if they'll do it, the Democrats really need to look at what they're doing. And again, there's voter suppression, and they've been needing to do this. But I really think even with the senatorial candidates, they need to look and see what's going wrong, even if it's this close. So,
senior advisors to the Biden campaign earlier tonight, they told me they were feeling really good, not only about Arizona, but also these upper Midwest states. They said because they had banked so much in the early vote, they knew how many people had turned in their ballots ahead of time or had voted early if it was possible in that state. The Trump folks always said, you know what? Our people like to show up on election day, and they will. The Biden people said, well, they would have to win by 60%. Are they doing that? Do we know?
There is concern. They're not in any way, shape, or form, Nora, and I don't want to give anyone the impression that the Biden campaign is throwing in any towels, but they are looking at turnout, and they're seeing trend lines that are somewhat worrisome. And this is all about campaign modeling and what you assume. And there was an assumption in the Biden campaign that Trump voters would not come out and come in at 66, 67, 68% margins over that day of turnout for Joe Biden.
Right.
That hasn't happened yet, but there are some worrisome indications.
Okay, let's just, since it's what happens if, let's just put those back in the, put them in, make them blue.
Okay, make
that
them blue,
upper
right.
Midwest, make them blue. And then you see it all comes down essentially to Pennsylvania. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight, because as you pointed out, they didn't start counting Pennsylvania until today.
Right.
The Secretary of State had said it could take days to actually find out the tally.
And here's one thing I want the audience to understand about Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. All three of the Democratic governors in those states wanted to be able to process ballots that were mailed in ahead of time, but the Republican legislatures did not allow that to happen. So the reason that these ballots are going to be counted later is because there could not be an agreement between a Democratic governor and a Republican legislature in those 3 states. That's something we need to have on the record.
And this is where the Supreme Court comes into play.
On 1 or 2 states, I think the likelihood there's going to be a lot of legal challenges.
Year 2000 worse.
She just said it. There's going to be a lot of legal challenges, and this is why I was afraid.
Download the CBSN app to track all your local races.
Because this is worrying me in a very big way.
Yeah, man, the fix is in. Like, this is like my absolute worst case scenario. This is what I
just
thought.
watched the documentary 537 votes 2 days ago, and I'm like, this is exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like changed my opinion.
I'm trying to figure out on that map they showed why they characterized Nevada red. Because I mean it looked like they were trying to do a very specific scenario. Because that kind of changes everything. If Nevada is blue and Biden wins Nebraska's 2nd district, that's 270. Like that I guess they're trying to set up a very specific scenario there, but that was very weird because nothing is indicated that Nevada will flip red.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet that says that, but yeah, I mean, there's they may be doing that because there's another potential case out there that could potentially go to the United States Supreme Court because Nevada Supreme Court just struck it down. So we might just end up with like 5 different, and like I was telling B. Will the other day when I was talking to him about this, all they need is one of these cases. They don't need all 5. They don't even need it to be in a battleground state. If the Texas case with Harris County goes through, that opens the door. And that's all they're looking for is a way to open the door and kick enough votes out to make it close enough that he wins, because they know the Democrats are going to opt for peace and not fight if it's close enough in order to attempt to unite the country. And let me go off on a tangent real quick.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
All of you, the country's divided. We were never united. Y'all just didn't care about what people who were under the thumb of white supremacy had to say. This was never a united country. I don't want to hear that. Stop saying that stupid shit. And for all the Democrats out there who are we need to unite. This country was never united. Forget the side that is on the wrong side of history. This is what fucked up Reconstruction and fucked up. So all that shit. Given the Confederates their seats back, we've been doing this dance with these idiots for far too long to ever think that they are ever going to do anything other than the shit that they've been doing for 2 centuries now. The game plan ain't changed. Just the actors on the stage has the same damn script. They've been doing this. They know what they are doing. Why do we continue? We, as in people on the left, continue to think that they are going to ever change. Stop that. Unity is a myth.
It's the same reason why a lot of those people on the left blame the South for a lot of the country's ills, right? Because they don't really have a grasp or an understanding of history of what has happened over the years. I mean, I talked about before you hopped on, AJ, a piece that Huffington Post wrote about the 7 black candidates for Senate. One of them is Republican, but there's 7 black candidates for Senate, and nobody really has track of when the last time that happened was. Like, in the Senate's existence, I think only 10 of the over 1,000 people who have served have been black. So there's never been this. Hold on, let's check out these projections. Let's figure out what's going on.
CBS News now projects Joe Biden has won the state.
And I'm going to reiterate, as someone that lived in Illinois, that is only because of Chicago and large cities. Again, you are no better than the South.
Yeah, because the vast majority of Illinois is red.
Red.
Chicago just has so many people.
It's just Chicago's so large.
The vast majority of every state, with the exception of Rhode Island, because it's a block, is red. Like, I want people to realize that, right?
You're
like,
not special.
You're metro.
Right, look at that. Very, very, very tight margin there. I'm going to go county by county here in North Carolina, starting with these very Democratic areas. I'm going to look at Raleigh County, 64% for Joe Biden, 57% for Hillary Clinton. So he's improved on her margins there. 87% in. There's still some more vote to come. So if that keeps accruing to Joe Biden's advantage, he could add to his statewide vote totals there. Okay. Then I'm also going to look outside at Durham. Again, 80% for Joe Biden. He's got to do well there. A little bit of an edge over Hillary Clinton's margins. So he's keeping pace or doing better in the Democratic counties where he needs to. So a couple of other places we'll be watching, but overall, I want to show you statewide, we're looking at 91% in not many ballots left to count. Okay, that's in the case of Durham anyway, 91% in, and we're going to look as we go statewide throughout this. I'm going to show you one final time the model estimate, which is where we kind of fill in the gaps with the trend lines where they are. So 48.8 for Biden, and then I'm going to overlay that
exactly
0.2 for Biden if Democratic trend continue. That is a big if.
Why the hell did y'all just switch like spaces on the screen?
My thing booted me. My computer has been like my desktop is. I mean, my laptop has been deciding it doesn't want to connect to the internet anymore and just boots me out.
I thought I was delirious from hunger.
So that will be a.
That's what it was.
Then they saw.
Okay, so yeah, they're saying okay. So I mean, they're still see that 0.2% again. That worries me.
It's contestable, and again, if we remember what happened in 2000, it's going to be even worse because
Like
now the Supreme Court is a super majority of the Supreme Court.
Like this shit being contestable has been my worst fear all along, and that seems to be coming true. I want to say I'm proud of Texas though. I know it's slipping away, but the fact that Biden was ahead up through like 50% of the vote being counted.
Well, I want to point out here, AJ. I want to point out, Travis County only 70%. Harris County only 73%. Bexar County, which is San Antonio, only
Travis
74%.
County is
So these are big counties with big cities that tend blue that could still make it closer, if not put them over the top. It's going to take a lot, but it could happen. I want to. It's not over yet.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't saying it's it's out of reach. I was astonished by that.
El Paso County only at 68%.
That's where people need to shut up about the South because we have some really close margins here. So again, shut up.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. And we are going to have updates about this. We should note.
So 75%. So what I'm looking at, 75% is in Arizona. Biden's up by about 200.
Been able to certify
8,000 votes
election before midnight. That just doesn't happen.
Okay.
We usually have late nights. That doesn't mean anything's wrong. Polls are about
I'm so glad that they just said that.
Yes.
I'm so glad that the news people are not gonna fall for the narrative of we didn't know in 2016. Like I went to bed not knowing. Like,
I went to bed like
because it's MSNBC.
Yeah.
No one else is probably.
Well, this is CBS 46. I mean, it's CBS News. So.
CNN is. That's why I tell people like they're not like this progressive. Like they're one of the worst. They had fucking Rick Santorum on there. What else do you need? What else do you need? Had Rick Santorum on there, and that's just like they're basically conservative leaning at this point.
Yes, they're center right, and people Georgia like we know what happened with Fulton County, which is just some wild shit.
Mm-hmm. And
Like,
now what's
that's
happening with Burnett?
Yeah, like that's the shit that has me like, so are we just sure that the universe doesn't just want America to just be over? Because there just seems to be a lot of shit happening at just the right time, in just the right place for shit to go not left but right in this instance and keep us on this path.
So things aren't looking great for Dana. Things aren't looking great for my district of Dana, which is disappointing. Considering that Barry Loudermilk is allegedly a white supremacist and anti-vaxxer who won't answer.
We got some breaking news. This is real quick before we go to break.
The crowd erupted, Rick, here moments ago when they did receive word from the guest speaker on stage saying that, yes, indeed, Representative Doug Collins made that phone call to Senator Kelly Loeffler to concede and congratulate her on winning between the two of them. And as you mentioned, yes, indeed, she will now face the Reverend Raphael Warnock in a very big blockbuster runoff that's going to happen for this seat in the coming weeks. And we are expecting to hear from Senator Loeffler at about 11 o'clock Eastern right here. So keep it on CBS 46. We're live at the Grand Hyatt in Buckhead. Adam Murphy, CBS 46 News.
Adam, thank you.
All right, that's very interesting now. Doug Collins has seated. So that is not bad news for Warnock and the Democratic Party. Warnock is likely going to face Loeffler in the runoff in January, as long as there's no screwery afoot here.
Which could happen.
It would, I mean, Warnock and Loeffler will be our runoff. So that is very interesting. Mark your calendars for January 5th if you're a Georgia resident, because we're gonna have to get back out there again.
I may have to end up voting in person this time.
Yeah.
What does that
Why
mean?
are they not just calling Florida for don't, or at least on MSNBC? They like, why? We know what happened there.
Well, I want to point something out. I want to point something out with this race, right? Because it's a theory I've been kicking around for a minute with this Loeffler, Collins, and Warnock race, in that Loeffler has had to pivot so far to the right. I realized my camera flipped backwards. She's had to pivot so far to the right, to get votes away from Collins. And Warnock has built up name ID and has cruised. So let's get a good idea of what these numbers look like at the end of the night, because I'm interested in seeing if Warnock, basically the reason why Collins probably withdrew is because he's looking at what counties have yet to report. And those counties that have yet to report are overwhelmingly going to go in favor of Warnock. So he knows that if he's already behind, there's no chance for him to catch Loeffler, because the vote is probably going to be split between Warnock and Loeffler. So it's going to be interesting to see how much Warnock wins by, how much of the percentage he grabs, because he's going to have more than both of them, because they're splitting a Republican vote. So if we're talking about Warnock in the high 30s or 40s, that bodes well for January. If we're talking him barely in the high 20s, that's a warning sign. So I want to put that out there for everybody as we watch those numbers come in.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break real quick. Let's run for our sponsor real quick before we get to the top.
Yeah, do your sponsor, then I have something to say.
Yeah, I'm about to go eat. I may hop back on later, but thank you guys for indulging me.
Yeah. Glad to have your insight, man. We really needed that. Yeah.
I may hop back on if after a drink I don't feel like just going to bed. So
I feel you.
That's all good.
Natural Roots by Smoot believes that you can achieve amazing results for your hair and skin by using what nature's already provided. With beard balms and oils and hair and skin creams made free of manufactured and artificial chemicals, the results speak for themselves. Try their lemon peppermint hair and skin cream, 4 ounces for $9 or 8 ounces for $18. Try a set of the Cedar Forest Beard Balm and Beard Oil for $12. Natural Roots by Smoot was started because he really believes that you can achieve amazing results with your hair and skin by using what nature has already provided. Learn more by going to naturalrootsbysmoot.com. That's naturalrootsbysmoot.com.
So I'm just gonna kind of say this. I'm the only person on here right now. Per a tweet from Matt Brunig, which is the founder of People Policy Project. So per exit polling, the only demographic that voted less for Trump this time than in 2016 was white men, which is very intriguing. And when Ryan and Ron come back, I want everyone's input on that. That's
Okay, I'm back.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. You said the only demographic that
is for exit polls that did not vote more for Trump this time. It was white men.
I mean, that's not surprising at all.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I am a little bit, but I was more surprised by the fact that white men actually didn't vote more for Trump. So, and the margin is a -5, which is slightly outside the margin of error. So, I was surprised by that, and I kind of want to get. I wish I had more details as to, is it maybe I think it's possibly the non-college educated white men.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking from 2016 to now, I think
I want to know the age demographic too. I
was about to say I think the electorate grew, and with that we had more college educated white males to vote as well. But what's going to interest me is of course he's been really harping on the suburban white woman vote. I'm really going to want to see those demographics.
They increased by not as much as I was expecting, but again, this is just exit polls. They increased. Hold on, where is it? By +2. But so this is the change from 2016 based off of exit polls. White men -5, white women +2, black men +4, black women +4, Latino men +3, Latino women +3, and other +5. So that would be your Asian and indigenous groups.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised there wasn't more white women. Who knows? It's going to be different when your daughter needs an abortion and then it's illegal for you to fly out of state, because I know that's your backup plan.
Yeah, like I said, I just how things are trending so far. Like I said, this is once again the pessimist in me. This is my worst case scenario, and this is far too close for comfort here. And yeah, this is. I think we need to start just looking at what may potentially come next. I mean, there's still like a glimmer of hope. So I mean, don't lose hope right now. But
that is disappointing to read.
Yeah, but just prepare yourself for what's coming.
Did you hear the
out here? Based on AP projection, Biden is at 209 electoral votes, right? So there's 61 that are necessary for him to win and earn the presidency. Right now on AP's projections, it's a lean in Minnesota, lean in Iowa. No votes reported for Nevada yet, but a lean in Arizona. So those three states are 27 electoral votes in Biden's favor. You also need votes to come in for Wisconsin and Michigan for this to kind of flip back around. We got some breaking news. Let's see what this is real quick.
For us, Megan.
Hi, Rick and Sean. We're on top of breaking news tonight out of Gwinnett County, where we are learning about a delay in processing some mail-in absentee ballots in Gwinnett County. We've learned that software is unable to read some of these ballots. So now humans are going to have to go through thousands of ballots to determine the intent of each voter here. This is called a process of adjudication. A spokesperson for Gwinnett County tells us a Democrat, a Republican, and an election employee will have to go over all of these ballots. This affects 3,200 batches. And to put that in perspective, what we could be talking about, 2,700 batches have already been processed, which is about 48,000 votes. So we're possibly talking about tens of thousands of affected votes here. I am reaching out to the county tonight to find out how long they expect all of this counting will take them. We will pass along updates about this as we learn more at the Election Live Desk. For now, I'm Megan Packer.
All right, thank you, Megan. And now to a race that is expected to end in a
And you notice how these are only in blue counties with a minority majority. Again,
Yeah,
it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, I was going to say even if this isn't the case of like basically like nefarious intentions, like it's just gross incompetence, and they should be embarrassed. But we know we're smarter than that, and we know that this is intentionally happening in counties where there is a large black population. So yeah, this isn't a coincidence at all.
To point out again, in regard to some of these Georgia counties, and I just kind of want to let people know here, we have no precincts reporting, or 0% precincts reporting, so less than 1% for DeKalb County. For Gwinnett County, we're only at 51% for Cobb, and we are only at 44% for Fulton, and 0% for Henry. So these are all counties that lean heavily blue. When Biden right now is only down by 300,000 votes. So it should be noted that this thing could still close back up, and Biden can take a lead here. So I just want people to be aware of that as we sort of go through what's happening tonight with Georgia. Georgia, it looks like we're not going to know before we get off of here tonight, whenever that is. So the ones I'm interested in seeing before we get out of here is what happens with North Carolina and Arizona. If we can get one of those two, I feel more comfortable.
So, Ryan, did you kind of hear the exit polling for demographics voting more or less in favor for Trump that I went over with
I'm terrified.
Ron?
Go ahead.
So, okay, so only one demographic voted less for Trump, and can you guess who it was?
White men.
Wait, white men. So I'm going to go in order of the change from 2016, and some of them are actually outside of the margin of error, so it's not a margin of error thing. So with white men, it's -5. White women, it's +2. Black men, it's +4. Black women, it's +4. Latino men, +3. Latino women, +3. And other +5, which, like I told Ron, would be your Asian demographics and your indigenous demographics.
So that's in favor of Trump.
That's the change from 2016.
That's not a good look. It's not.
So yeah, and what I was thinking about the white men, I was talking with Ron, is possibly more college-educated white men voting for Biden, but also more non-college educated white men voting for Biden. I think it's the shift there. I really want it to be broken down by age demographic and education demographic and see what that changes there and maybe possibly why that changes there.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see what happens with these mail-in votes. Because it looks like right now mail-in votes are going to be a deciding factor for Georgia. They're going to be a deciding factor for Michigan and Pennsylvania. So it's going to be a very tense week. I just want people to know this. This is going to come down to the wire, and it depends on what they try and pull. Which the other thing is they can't really even pull it at midnight because Alaska and Hawaii won't be closed yet, right? So it would have to be something that they try and pull in the morning, and we don't know where we'll be in the morning because some states like Georgia have said they're counting through the night. Let's listen into Senator. I'm sorry.
Friday. I said something are on Friday. So
let's listen into Raphael Warnock here.
Know that Warnock came from humble beginnings. He talked about his father, his family, his father being.
Okay, we missed that one, so we can pull back here. That's going to be interesting. Watch
Matt Lieberman. Sorry, that's all I want to say.
It does look pretty obvious here that this is going to be Loeffler versus Warnock in January. So let's be prepared for that. If you're in Georgia, it's time. I do want to. I'll let y'all kind of keep talking here. We got some more breaking news. Let's go ahead and check this out.
Officially conceded.
Ashley Thompson live at Lake Lanier at Congressman Collins' watch party. Ashley.
Rick conceded about 20 minutes ago, first tweeting out, quote, "I just called Kelly Loeffler and congratulated her on making the runoff. She has my support and endorsement. I look forward to all Republicans coming together. Raphael Warnock would be a disaster for Georgia and America." Meantime, here in this ballroom here at Lake Lanier Islands, some people have left, but some are staying put to watch the presidential election unfold on the television screen. You could see the few people who are still in here in this room kind of just watching the results unfold. Certainly not the outcome they wanted for Doug Collins, but I think they're optimistic that their candidate, President Trump, will win the presidential election. So that's why some of them are staying. Collins did not come back into the room to give any kind of concession speech, though. He did want to tell the media that he did thank Kelly Loeffler, and he will be joining forces with her to try to get her elected. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. That is not the only Senate seat on the ballot tonight. Republican Senator David Perdue facing off against Democratic challenger John Ossoff, and Perdue is seeking a second term in office.
Let's take a look at these numbers. These are the results so far. 67% of precinct reporting and a healthy lead for Republican incumbent Senator David Perdue, 54% to John Ossoff's 43%.
67% of the precincts are reporting in that race. We have crews live at both Perdue and Ossoff's watch parties as they watch the returns come in tonight. Let's start with Haley Mason covering the David Perdue camp. And Haley, that crowd seems pretty electric behind you.
They just finished chanting 4 more years, as Adam Murphy showed you. When the returns come in favorable for the GOP, the crowd erupts, and a similar scene is happening here. Not far from Adam, we are in the Intercontinental Hotel in Buckhead, where we're behind me, the GOP's official watch party is happening right now. You won't see David Perdue out here because his camp is in a room glued to the returns. Those numbers that we just showed you, with 54% for Perdue, 43% for Ossoff. Perdue hasn't made an appearance tonight at all, and his campaign
And
tells
let's just remind people that Perdue and Loeffler are the same two Georgia senators that were found to be having done insider trading right when the pandemic was let known to them. They went and sold stocks, and this is what's going on, and that's what's most shocking to me is that information. These are the same two people.
Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue exuded nothing but confidence.
Because basically, my thing is with the results that are happening tonight, I think, much like AJ said, we need to examine the soul of America, because a lot of people, and you hear the phrase a lot of people are voting against their self-interest. Well, no, a lot of people are voting for the person they would be if they were in power. So I think we need to recognize that. And so yeah, while these results may be shocking to some people, I think we really need to have like real conversations about who we are as citizens of this country and what we are as a country as a whole. So yeah.
Because we can talk about the Electoral College all day, but the Electoral College does not determine the Senate elections. That really is the people, and I think that is kind of showing where people are living. And again, Twitter is a bubble, and of course things could change. But the fact that these many votes are coming in, again, it's like people that make $30,000 a year that are defending millionaires. It's the same people that will vote that way.
I want to highlight something Nate Silver pushed here, where he said it's very likely that there are scenarios in play that if Biden loses Pennsylvania but wins Arizona, where we wind up with either a 269-269 tie or Biden just pushing over with Nebraska's 2nd district or Maine's 2nd district. Nebraska is more likely of the two, but given that Biden is winning and likely to win New Hampshire, Maine's 2nd district is also plausible for him. So this is something that is also should be there to keep an eye on. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we need to take a look at Nebraska in terms of what's happening here. But we should remember, again, we came into the night with idealistic scenarios. The realistic scenario has always been flip back Michigan, flip back Wisconsin, flip back Pennsylvania, and go from there. Anything else is a bonus. So if Arizona comes back or North Carolina comes back in Biden's favor, that helps. If it's just Arizona, that helps. So just keep that in mind, because Pennsylvania and Michigan will be counting late into the week, and that could flip back blue if there is no, as AJ put it, fuckery put it. So we need to keep that kind of stuff in mind here.
Just so y'all know how my night's going. This is the 2nd most potent drink in my arsenal that I know how to make. The first will be made probably after I finish this.
I'm at my point where I'm going to finish this one and stop drinking because I have to work tomorrow and I don't want a hangover because I'm old. I do want some good news to be shared is that Rashida Tlaib has won her race. So at least that's one more progressive representative that is going back. So that's an excellent thing to see.
No.
Yeah, I'm not holding out hope for North Carolina right now.
No.
Me neither. I just looked at that lead and oh boy.
Yeah.
5% of the vote left. You're talking about 80,000 votes to make up.
Yeah.
Apparently Doug Jones's speech is kind of heartbreaking according to Twitter, and I don't know if I can bring myself to watch it.
I'm gonna stay away from it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay away from that. So the two places I'm looking at tonight that I'm still holding out hope for right now are Georgia and Arizona. Those are the two that I feel like could be something to turn it around and give us some hope. That we're not nail biting all the way through those 3 Midwest states that people have been telling us this entire time that it's going to come down to. I just didn't want it to come down to those. I wanted to be a little bit bigger than that, but we're going to see. So Arizona right now is what I want to keep an eye on. That will give me some comfort. And it looks like that is going, if we're going to say that North Carolina is going for Trump, Arizona is a bit of a harder lead to overcome for Trump. He's down 200,000 votes. And we haven't even touched Maricopa County, which is going to heavily lean Biden here. So this is going to be really, really, really interesting.
Let me break up let me break up the sadness to mention some good news. First, I want to and this isn't a state where where any of us reside, but shout out to Cori Bush. It seems like she's going to be representing Missouri's first congressional district 1. If you don't know her story, she basically found her calling after the events of Mike Brown and Ferguson. And she has the support of people like Bernie, AOC, that cabal of the Democratic Party. So shout out to her. I think she's a name to keep in the back of our minds, and I hope she has a bright career. So shout out to her. I've really been watching her and what she's been doing on the campaign trail. So I'm glad that she was able to pull this out. So that's some good news. Shout out to her.
All right, let's see what this great news is here real quick.
Everything going on all around the country, and right now in our nation's capital, big crowds still forming. Look at this video. Hundreds of people, including.
Okay, so I was going to say, In news of libertarians actually being useful for once in Montana, libertarians in several Montana statewide races, governor, auditor, superintendent of public instruction, appear to be taking just enough votes to give Democrats leads over the Republican opponents. So, still can't stand you because
who knew you guys actually have a purpose?
Because you're all secret Republicans, but it's nice that the third party is actually taking from the Republicans for one time, because most of the time that is actually Republican strategy is actually being shown in this election, that they actively seek out third party people to run to pull from Democratic candidates. So it's nice to have the tables turned a little bit.
So we're starting to get more reports here in Gwinnett County at 61% of precincts recording. Again, this does not include mail-in votes, but right now Biden leads 58-40 in Gwinnett County alone. If you're talking about Cobb County, he leads 58-41 with only 51% of the vote. DeKalb County starting to come in, still 0 precincts reporting, but Biden has 81,000 votes to Trump's 14,000. In Fulton County, where we have 61% of precincts reporting, Biden has close to 200,000 votes, while Trump has just under 70,000. So we're starting to see those numbers come in. It's cutting into Trump's lead, which was originally 12 here just like 20 minutes ago, and now it's down to 8. So again, as these precincts start reporting and as these mail-in ballots come in, which again are not included in the precinct count. So when you have 100% precincts reporting in Georgia, it's still not over because the mail-in ballots still have to be counted, primarily from Gwinnett, Fulton, DeKalb, those metro areas where a lot of people requested mail-in ballots. So that's something to keep in mind, that if we're looking at this and by the time we get to 100%, Biden is 1 point behind or 2 points behind, it can shift in his favor once all of that stuff goes and gets counted. So
and again, Georgia, just to be sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
So just to kind of remind people, as we heard in the news bit earlier, is that these things could have been counted. It only makes sense for them to be counted early, but Republicans strongly oppose absentee ballots being counted before the day of the election. So this could be a lot more efficient. But again, this is a suppression tactic so that they can say those don't count. So
yeah,
in the middle of a pandemic.
I want to point out too that Georgia will be one that should get them counted within the next day, because that is one thing that Raspenberger or Raps, I can never pronounce his name, Secretary of State for Georgia, has said that they are intending to have everything counted. They started their mail-in and provisionals and early vote counts about earlier this week. So they're expecting to have their stuff in. So we'll know Georgia hopefully by the morning. And again, if Arizona, which looks like it's going to hold, goes to Biden, and Georgia goes to Biden, then we've got some comfort. But we got to see how it plays out, because it looks like North Carolina's off the table. It looks like Maine in the Senate race is off the table. That's extremely disappointing. So we may end up with a 50-50 here, depending on what happens in Georgia. So
let me cut in because I've been monitoring what AP has been saying, and once again, AP is AP, so take this with a grain of salt. But my fear is that it would be 2016 in reverse, because right now AP is projecting Biden 209, Trump 118, but Trump has the popular vote right now. And once again, just for context, Biden is leading California once again. This is just a projection. Leading Oregon, leading Washington. No. He's projected to win California, Oregon, and Washington. He's leaning towards the victory in Arizona. So once again, this may be a situation where it's 2016 in reverse, where Biden gets the electoral votes, but Trump may get the popular votes. And then all of a sudden
they're going to go with the popular. We'll just watch the Supreme Court. Sorry.
I want to point something out here, because the popular vote gap has closed. And this is where those mail-in ballots come in, like Ron was saying. This is where those mail-in ballots come to play, because right now it's a 1.5% lead. Oh, not even that anymore. It's about 1.5% lead for Trump in the popular vote. But we haven't touched mail-in ballots. We haven't touched Pennsylvania's mail-ins, Michigan's mail-ins, Georgia's mail-ins. So that's the thing to remember here as we kind of go through the night, is that I think Ron is right in that we're going to have a reverse 2016, that Trump leads the popular vote right now, but because this is day of, right? And we've already seen through the data that day of was going to primarily be Republicans. So that is something to hold on to here. I'm going to switch coverage here, because this is primarily Georgia focused. and see if we can pull up here, not CNN, but MSNBC. Let's see if we can get audio on
I
this.
have some good news. Oregon became the first state in history to decriminalize drug possession, period. So if you were here to listen to my reasoning why this is an excellent thing, this is awesome.
Yeah, I saw some people talking about Oregon wilding earlier. I'm like, yo, Portugal did this, and
it's excellent.
Their addiction rates dropped by 50%.
Yep.
Because you're not throwing people behind bars.
Mm-hmm.
And there is scientific evidence that shows that the root cause of addiction is isolation and loneliness rather than something in your actual brain.
And you're driving people towards being impoverished because you can't get a job, you can't get a home loan. In some states, you used to not even be able to get food stamps if you had a drug felony charge. In some, I think there's at least 2 states now that still you can't get them if you have a drug felony charge. So all the science is there. People just hate the concept of poor people, and they just don't give a shit is what it is. So good for Oregon. This is excellent. I'm 100% on board. If you find yourself not supporting it, you need to look up the definition of decriminalization and look up all the science and the just dozens of studies that have been done on recidivism, rehabilitation, and drug usage rates. And just like with AJ said in Portugal and how there was a dramatic drop. So I just urge that you do some research if you're opposing that.
Yeah, I want to add, we still don't have results from Puerto Rico's referendum. We have nothing in yet. So we're still waiting on that too, which may not mean anything.
What was Puerto Rico's referendum?
You said what?
What was Puerto Rico's referendum?
Statehood. They have a yes or no referendum for statehood.
So yeah, if it's Trump as president, it's not going to happen. If Biden, it's likely.
Also, a quick tangent, real quick. If you stood in line to cast your vote today, and you were handed a ballot, and you went into the booth, and you wrote in Kanye West,
fuck you,
Joe Jorgensen.
Thank you.
Hold on, I have something even better for them.
I can't wait for this one.
Although some of the people who did this might actually like
Arizona legalized marijuana, so that's another one.
Where is this? Here we are.
I don't think either of the mamas listening right now would be too happy about
My
that.
mom's asleep.
That's only for people who voted like third. Like I'm looking at North Carolina's map right now, and there were over 100,000 votes cast for the Libertarian Senate candidate.
Dog, Rock De La Fuente has been around my entire life, and I'm not even sure he's a real person. Rock De La Fuente.
So I wanted to put that out there for all you third party voters. That is what you can do, a huge or small one. I'm gonna learn how to play that on piano just so I can like recreate that line.
Fox called Arizona for Biden.
There we go.
There's a shot.
There we go. Now it gets spicy.
Right.
Now it gets spicy.
Yeah, now we heating up.
3 minutes ago. And so Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia have all said their final results will not be announced tonight.
Well, I mean, like I said, the map I'm looking at, even if PA goes dump, if AZ, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan go Biden, it should be a victory. But
again, we're at the point where we're close enough. It's going to be a Supreme Court battle.
Yep.
So I know I want people to mentally prepare.
Has your boy afraid.
Mentally prepare yourself that even if Biden technically wins, this isn't over.
I would also like to point out that our boy B Will said AJ was right again in a DM with me and Chuck, him and Chuck after arguing with me yesterday vehemently that this was going to be a blue wave and a referendum and that shit wasn't going to be close.
Let's see.
Listen to AJ.
I honestly, just because 2020 is this year, if it ends up being a 269 time.
Doesn't
the House decide in that instance?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good for us because AB projected the House is going to maintain. So
yeah.
Well,
I wonder how big of an influence Sidney McCain had in that Arizona bit.
Oh, a huge influence. I want to get to some breaking news here that's not on a national level, since Delaware is being pulled up here. This is more of a human rights, progressivism, really big deal. Sarah McBride has won the race for her state's first Senate district in Delaware. She is the first openly transgender state senator in U.S. history.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
So I saw that. Shout out to her. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to Sarah McBride. I want to shout out her on the program tonight. That is a huge monumental step in terms of inclusion and diversity. So congratulations to her on pulling that off. So I need to see this map where we are now.
I have some not great news to counter that. Is a literal fucking Nazi won North Carolina by the name of Madison Cawthorn.
Oh yeah, I saw that little shithead.
A literal
we've got a QAnon person who is
in Georgia.
winning in Georgia. So
we knew because she's in an overwhelmingly red district. Because that's the problem.
Right.
The Democrats, you need to pay attention because Republicans are fine with being pushed more and more right, and yet you want to stay in the center. You need to refocus. Look at what's happening.
Fuck unity.
Yep, there is no unity. People are like, how can you not be friends or not talk to family? I don't associate with white supremacists. That's the difference.
Because this shit isn't about a difference of political opinion. This shit is about our fucking rights and being treated like human fucking beings and having rights. Ronnie, you remember what I said 4 years ago on what the possible doomsday scenario? What might happen if Dump won again?
Yeah.
What would I say?
Wait, you talking about Wait, are you talking about your Constitution thing?
No. I mean,
okay, never mind.
More people have been pulled into that. Thankfully,
okay.
As usual, I say something early and people are like, "Nah, you're tripping," and then it happens, and they're like, "Yeah, we need a new Constitution." But anyway, or the Dark Knight isn't that great, shit like that. But what I am talking about is that whole block of blue West Coast states seceding.
Oh, you talking about the secession? Yeah. No. And that's one I've always been on board with, because even when you look at how they handled COVID, like it was California, Washington, Oregon, they're gonna say, you know what, we're good, we don't need you.
California, Washington, Oregon, New Mexico, and Colorado would be the 5, and maybe Nevada.
Flip Michigan turned red.
Wait, huh?
Flint, Michigan turned red.
That's what I thought you said. I just wanted to make sure.
So again, Democratic Party, you need to do some soul searching, and you need to understand that pushing further left is the only way. At this point, you lost Flint, Michigan, and I think it's for obvious reasons that can be left unsaid. Why it can be understandable why they went red.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to hear a damn liberal say, no. They have been done so dirty by their Democratic leaders. I get it. It's wrong, but I get it.
All right, let's see what we got here with MSNBC.
Here in the East, and here is all that we do not know with any certainty. Our call on Arizona is too early to call. Biden leads. Then we go to the Northeast, Pennsylvania. Too early to call, 46% of the vote in. Then we go to critical Michigan. Less than half of the vote in. You heard Heidi Pritfella's excellent reporting on the state of Michigan. It's going to be a while.
Because if Barr starts barging into places.
Heard Charlie Sykes, a native of Wisconsin, talk about how it's going to be a while. We're going to bring Mike Murphy into our conversation.
I want to say, because I want to hear this conversation with Mike Murphy, but I want to say real quick, if Wisconsin's only 4% and we haven't gotten to Milwaukee yet, that's a big deal.
He is with Republican voters against Trump. He joins us from Los Angeles.
Yeah, shout out to Cuckoo Cow.
Stay right there, don't move. I want Nicole Wallace into this as well. Nicole, people watching would be forgiven for wondering just what in hell's going on and how long this is going to go, and the state of the zeitgeist and what both campaigns are saying. So you lead off.
So I've heard from folks in both camps that no one expects a result tonight. And I know we've talked a lot about anxiety as an undercurrent. We've also talked about these 3 states that everyone is watching, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And we now have reporting and people in the states explaining why that might be, that neither campaign expects a result tonight. Heidi, as you said, gave us a great reporting about how Michigan needs 24 more hours before they can report out their count. Pennsylvania is talking about not having those results until another day, not starting with the T for Tuesday. And the same goes with Michigan. So I think the fact that both campaigns are expecting this to go on beyond tonight is not cause for alarm. It is part of the conditioning, I think, that both sides tried to give. It doesn't necessarily mean that this heads down a legal path. I guess the Biden campaign says that is still to be determined. The Trump campaign has been more hawkish about legal avenues being pursued. But it does mean that this is going to feel like something that isn't one and done. And I think Mike Murphy and I both have some muscle memory. I think a lot of folks do from the Florida recount. No one is saying it'll go on that long, but we are at least looking at something that doesn't end this evening.
So you guys at least have the Florida recount in common. A lot of Democrats watching have merely sitting in their homes and watching 2016 in common. Mike, which is it?
Well, it's not 2016. I mean, I think if we kind of unwind this, a lot of Democrats were looking for a quick knockout in the Sun Belt where Biden would take a red state away, particularly Florida. And it didn't happen. Now, that said, I was very busy in Florida. It's the state I know well. I did both the Jeb's campaigns down there. And Biden did well. He flipped Jacksonville. He did well in Tampa Bay. He was cooking. But Miami-Dade alone collapsed, and I mean really collapsed. Hillary won that county by 29 points, Obama by nearly 24 points. Biden will be probably getting out of there winning by about 8 or 9 points. It's the biggest swan dive in one county I've ever seen because everything else was working great. So the good news for the bad news for Biden and for Democratic psychology is the easy break his back tonight win in Florida or Georgia or North Carolina look very unlikely playing on red state turf. There's one red state left in the Sun Belt that I do think is probably going to flip to Joe Biden, which is Arizona. It could be the revenge of Senator John McCain. That's going to take a while. We need to get more vote in, but it looks very promising for Biden. Then we're down to the blue wall. And those states, because they're not used to the kind of absentee wave we're having this year, and because their rules require you to count on Election Day, are going to take a while, like all day tomorrow, maybe even into Thursday morning before we get full numbers. So I've done a lot of Michigan races. I would tell everybody to take a breath and understand they're not going to get instant gratification there because they're not going to be seriously counting, the real bulk of the vote until tomorrow.
Mike, down ballot, what does your gut tell you about whether Mitch McConnell is going to be majority leader or minority leader?
Boy, it's close. They may be one short on the Democratic side of taking it, but I kind of want to see how that Iowa race goes and, and see if Tillis holds on in North Carolina. But it's not as likely as I think conventional wisdom had it 24 hours ago that the Dems would narrowly pick up the Senate. But we also need to see Montana, see what's going on there. We don't have nearly enough vote in.
I think we can be sure that win or lose, Joni Ernst will always hereafter know the break-even price on a bushel of beans. Nicole Wallace has a special guest to bring into this conversation. Nicole?
Are we bringing in?
Not yet.
Oh.
No, this is not yet. First of all, I am interceding.
I'm not in the traffic position here, Brian.
I will turn this car right around.
I was just following orders.
I am going.
I really don't like that I get they're working, but I don't like that this is becoming a laughing matter.
Yeah,
it's really. I'm gonna be honest here. It's looking like just after looking at Iowa's numbers, Senate's gonna come down to Georgia. It's gonna come down to Warnock. It's gonna come down to Ossoff. Just playing with the numbers here, I think right now we're sitting at 44, 45 in terms of the ones we needed to flip. If North Carolina doesn't go our way, if Maine doesn't go our way, that's 2 that have to be made up. Iowa doesn't look like it's happening. We've absolved that. South Carolina isn't happening. Mississippi is likely not happening. So you've got these 2 Georgia seats that are really going to play a role here in January. And it looks like it's really going to come down to us when it's all said and done. So we'll see. I could be proven wrong. One of these things like Maine could pull through, but it's not looking very likely right now. So I just want to point that out.
This is kind of why I said all the people who were talking, like all these Dems who ran, trying to get in the presidential primary, like they could have been more useful in the Senate. Like the Senate needs more more rock stars, if you will. And yeah,
which shout out to Steve Bullock for doing that. Bullock did it. Hickenlooper did it. They got out early and they went for the Senate race. But yeah, there are a couple others that could have turned things around or could have, been more of star positions. I do think if we're able to get the presidency and at least a tie in the Senate, things bode well for some of these southern states. So South Carolina in the future has showed us that that's the state that could be pushed. And it takes work, right? It takes sometimes it takes different cycles to make it happen when you're not expected to pull it, right? North Carolina is gonna be disappointing. I have to say that North Carolina is gonna be disappointing for somebody in Cal Cunningham that looked to be leading the whole time for it to not go that way. Whatever the hell happened here, as we figured out in the next couple of days, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that unfolded. But I'm still confident that we'll be able to get the presidency. It's these legal battles, like AJ's been saying, that scare me in terms of what's going to happen afterward. And if we can just get to 50 in the Senate, if we can just get to 50, I will feel confident. I'll feel okay. But
so I'm gonna kind of share, if you saw me talking, it's because I was talking to my boyfriend. So everyone say hi to Michael. But so we were just talking about just kind of the future of the country. One, because I still think Democrats are going to continue to be spineless. I think we're going to have two parties because two-party system's teetering. It is. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon unless there's a forceful change, but we're going to have a party that's center right and we're going to have a party that is far right because the Democrats are still so afraid of anything that's has to do with socialism and the word socialism. They're going to be too scared to get progressive because, again, Flint, Michigan turning red should be the biggest warning sign to them of all. But they're not going to care because they don't care about Black people. Old Kanye West, they don't. But it is what it is, and I'm kind of worried as to, like, we could win the presidency, but I'm just worried about what the hell the Democratic Party is going to do, because this should be a warning sign to them that they were overconfident with Hillary Clinton, like so overconfident with Hillary Clinton, and now it's the Senate races that they're losing should concern them. So,
yeah. Again, like going back to North Carolina, Cunningham so far has 2.5 million votes, 2,543,440, and Biden has 2,655,140. So you're talking about basically like 100,000 votes, basically, of people who voted for Biden but did not vote for Cal Cunningham, and that to me is them pushing in on that sex scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one thing, again, like I said, electoral college is electoral college, but we do have to kind of look at who we are as a country, that the Senate and local elections are going this way. Like we really do. We need to look at what the issue is here, that this is still, like we said, that Republicans are doing better, that they're leaning into Trumpism. And what can be done if something can be that this many people are voting this way, even in demographics that a lot of people wouldn't suspect. Like, what is going wrong? So,
yeah.
Courtney, I personally am getting a passport.
And Courtney, you said something good, because what this country has done, both Democrats and Republicans. First, we call things socialism that isn't socialism at all, and we've made that the boogeyman. Because words actually mean things to me. So I take the literal meaning of them. I classify myself as a liberal, although somebody else will call me a leftist. I think classifying things as a leftist is stupid because you're saying it's extreme when a lot of these things are common sense things that people want. Like these are things that well-developed nations have, like things like renewable energy, things like things like things like healthcare. Like, but these are things that have been radicalized when they shouldn't be. So I think that's what the Democratic Party has to do. You can't give in to radicalizing things that your base needs, your base is calling for, your base wants, because you don't want to seem like you're shifting to left. Like, okay, well, what's to left? Because now you're shifting to right. So I think that's something that they're trying
to get people that aren't going to be gotten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to give up on that because just like you said, you lost Flint. And why did you lose Flint? And that goes back to environmental racism. Like those people feel like they were left behind. Like that shouldn't
And they
happen at
were.
all.
And by all
And
means,
they were. Exactly.
So, and it's again exactly what happened in Katrina is that so many people were left behind because again, a lot of the Democrats do not care about Black people outside of getting their votes, and that's where we need to kind of focus. Is that there's still so much racism that we have to focus on, and of course, like I would rather Democrats win, but we still have to hold people accountable outside of we won, that's it, Obama won, that's it, and look where we're at. And I agree with you that instead of like, this is so radical, it's like, okay, but the UK has this, and Brexit is going on. They're kind of conservative. Like France almost lost to Macron, but they still have these things. Canada has these things. Of course, it could be greatly improved upon, but it's not that crazy. And I think that's what they need to. Okay, look at comparative countries, and I think they need to do again a breakdown, especially when it comes to healthcare. Like your premiums, take that away. That's what the taxes look like. That's it. Not much is going to change.
Or better yet, how about we just start asking people, hey, would you like this? Would you like this? Would you like this? And stop putting names to shit. Like, let's not call anything and just give people the bare bones of, hey, would you like it if you didn't have to pay for premiums for healthcare, daycare, or whatever the fuck it is? Let's just start putting shit in plain language. Then that's part of the problem is they're too worried about the semantics of the shit. Fuck the semantics about it. Ask people, do they want this shit? And figure that out. Start talking to these people in language that they understand, because even some of the most well-informed people do not understand what the hell is going on.
I think go ahead.
And that is a problem. So let's start asking people, hey, would you like it if this happened? Would you like it if this happened? Would you like it if this happened? And let the Democrats really become the party of because they should be the party of the people.
And the problem with the Democrats is that I think what you just said, AJ, that they think that people don't know better. And I think, again, that goes back to classism and racism and elitism with the Democratic Party. That is a problem that has been pushing people away, is that they're like, well, people aren't going to understand this. When very well people are going to understand this, and people have been out of touch and born into wealth, and they would never understand these issues, ever. Which is why they keep putting wealthy, rich, white people. Again, the Democrats started with a very diverse field, and it still came down to old white people. Even the women got out at some point.
Yeah.
And they need to look into that's a problem.
Yeah, it is, and it's one that I don't see. Sorry, I was just looking at the MSNBC map again. Yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm at the point now where I'm just like, I want people to stop giving white people credit. Like I know that sounds fucked up, but stop. Like, and this isn't. Obviously, I need to say this because I'm on this platform and people are going to see me, and I need people to understand that I am not saying brushing with broad strokes, saying that all white people are bad. What I'm saying is the majority of white people have been conditioned to vote to side with the system, even if that's against their individual interests. And the reason that they are voting to side with the system is because the system is always going to allow for them, whether they realize it or not, to advance and get rich and make it through faster. So we have to stop expecting them to do what's right. Like 2016 basically came down to the Russians knowing that, they ain't going to do right. We need to get black people not voting. Because we at least know that they won't vote against their interests in large numbers. Like, again, white women have overwhelmingly so far been supporting Trump, and he is against women's rights. So if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about this, nothing will. Like, this is people like I remember in 2016, everybody was like, man, we'll never underestimate the stupidity of Americans again. And I saw all this last month, everybody underestimating the stupidity of Americans again. No, they've had enough. They don't get it. People are upset. They're pissed off. You sure about that? Are they pissed enough? No. Because
and another problem,
they're not pissed enough to vote against the system that has been keeping them and their people in power for the past 250 years, damn near.
Another problem too is, again, and this goes a lot with a lot of demographics, people don't see themselves in their own state. They see themselves in a different state, which is why we got people who make $30,000 a year capping for the wealthy for people making $400,000. It's people who are like, well, I can get there one day, even though they very likely will not get there. And that's the kind of the delusion, and then people have been propagandized to believe it so successfully by the Republicans for so
They have
long.
been propagating
That Reaganomics is still at play. I mean, look at how overwhelmingly that Reagan won, and like it's still working, and they've been running on that ever since then.
And
So,
the economy's always worse under Republicans than it is under Democrats.
always. I mean, look at how the pandemic was fumbled. I thought at least there'd be Biden be winning more because of the pandemic. But some of the exit polls were saying that they thought it was handled fine because, again, the American propagandized media that has been bought out by these major corporations have been showing you that everything is fine when you're looking at these other countries that have been doing much better. Like, look at the help that Canadians are getting. Like, I think all we have to do is compare ourselves because America, like this American exceptionalism, we need to throw this away. We need to throw that away and look at what we could have that is so realistic and very well within reach.
You know what we really need to throw away? The Senate.
Yep. We need to redo everything from scratch.
We need a new constitution.
Because here's the thing, people are like, oh, that's so unheard of. Like, no, it's actually it's not unheard of. I mean, look at these other countries. We are, like, compared to other places, a semi-new country.
Okay, so the people on 538 are saying Biden has 2 paths now. When AZ, the Nebraska and Maine districts and the rest of the Midwest minus Pennsylvania, or win the rest of the Midwest and Pennsylvania. That don't seem like a very convincing thing that can happen.
Well, the thing to point out here with those is that is the path that I think a lot of people before we started seeing the possible flips with like Texas and Arizona. That was the path they wanted to take, and they expanded upon it. So that's what they've been looking at this whole time. I want to kind of center that discussion back around to that is the path they wanted to take, and anything else will be a bonus. So I think it's more important that Michigan and Pennsylvania flip back blue, especially if we have Arizona, because that would essentially seal it. And again, these are way too early to call because we don't have mail-in ballots. So again, where it gets messy is what happens here at midnight. What does Trump tweet out? What do they try and do to kind of make it look as if, distract, look over here. I want to point out in Georgia, remember how about 30 or 40 minutes ago, we were talking about how Trump still had an 11-point lead.
Mm-hmm.
That lead is down to 7. And we are talking about Fulton County only at 60%, Gwinnett somewhere around 20%. Henry County fully reported now. DeKalb County not even at 15%. So we still have a lot of these blue alleyways that are still coming in. So that is still in play. I just want people to know that Georgia is still in play, especially the ballots in Gwinnett County.
North Carolina is too. I think what's irritating me more is all these polls and statistics people getting on. Like I was just on Nate Silver's timeline. And the margin of error and all this shit. People should have just stopped fucking listening to polls. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is very evident that white people are saying one thing and then going and doing another.
Because they are ashamed that they support Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Another thing, again, another wake up to the Democratic Party. Y'all need to wake the fuck up. Hold on one second. Florida went for Trump, but also they went for a $15 minimum wage by 23 points. This should be a wake up call to the Democratic Party.
It's really interesting because you see a lot of people voting against their own self-interest, and it just continuously happens. And you have to look at the Democratic party and their failure of messaging, right? Like that is what it has to come down to, because look, I will say what I will say regarding Bernie and his campaign, and that I will be honest with you. If Bernie was the candidate right now, I think it's a lot uglier. I think Trump wins, but I think the issue is that the Democratic Party has allowed Republicans to define their agenda for them, the other way around, and so they've allowed them to define it as socialism. They've allowed them to define them as radical, and that is something you have to change. And I think Biden was the best possibility simply because there are a lot of people that look at Biden and go, he's comfortable. I can do that. Whereas Bernie already has enough of I don't want to say stigma on him, but he has enough of an identity of name ID on him where people would have pushed him in that column that despite knowing what his policies really meant, right? Like people agree overwhelmingly for Medicare for all. People agree for an increased minimum wage. People agree for free college. However, when you allow your opponents to kind of repaint the picture, it becomes a situation where suddenly you don't have you basically have a situation where people don't know what the policies are. It's the same. We've seen it with Biden, right? We've seen it with people not understanding what his platform is and thinking that he's just, even though he is a centrist within the party, his platform, they don't realize is pretty progressive and calls for some progressive ideology. So people don't see it because they've kind of been allowed to, they've been painted a picture on who he is. So again, I know it sounds like doom and gloom with us. It doesn't look as promising as we wanted it to, simply because if it gets to where we think it's heading, this can come down to the courts, and that's scary season. But there's still a pathway for Biden to come out of this without court in play, but it's looking less and less likely, and it's not going to be something that we find out tonight, as a lot of people warn us. So I will give people like Nate Silver credit. He did say, look, people misread probability, right? We see 90 and 10 and we think, oh, well, Biden is going to win because he's got a 90% chance according to models. But all that means is there's a 1 in 10 chance if you run the scenario 10 times that Trump could win, and that scenario could still be in play. We've probably eliminated 4 or 5 of the ways that Biden could win, and now we're looking at the last 4 or 5 that he could possibly win. And as those chip away, that's when it starts to get scary.
So Tom Tillis just declared victory in North Carolina. Cal Cunningham is yet to concede, but
People are saying Virginia for Biden, but I'm trying to look for a source.
AP called Virginia for Biden like way,
but then Trump was leading, so I kind of like.
Well, yeah, that's because they didn't like. I think VA knew their early voting numbers, but they weren't allowed to quote unquote count them until like late. They're not allowed to count them until later on tonight. Basically,
yeah, that's big. Let me see, but yeah, I think again.
Yeah, so CNN's count right now is 205 Biden, 114 Trump. The popular vote 56.7 for Biden, 54.9 for Trump.
Yeah, I have MSNBC has Biden at 57, so he's already at 50% of the popular vote. Trump is at 55.208. And MSNBC has him at 192 and Dump at 114.
Okay, and one important thing to note is that Florida is still not being called because the Postmaster General defied a judge's order to locate 300,000 missing ballots from 12 postal districts. Miami and Tampa are 2 of those. The other districts are in Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Wisconsin. What do they have in common?
Battleground states.
Interesting how it wasn't in states like Alabama and Mississippi, Louisiana, and Montana. But no, and one thing I do want people to know, because again, I was all Biden. I was big Biden. I like what Biden had to say. But another thing is that Trump strongly wanted a very progressive candidate. He actually really wanted Elizabeth Warren, one because of sexism, and he also wanted because he could push the socialism angle more. So under a more progressive candidate at this time, no, I do not think they would have won. And this is coming from someone that was wanting Bernie, is that if Bernie was going to win, he would have won the primary.
Yeah. Let's follow up on that, because when Trump was really pushing the DNC, had it fixed against Bernie or like, oh, I wonder why they didn't want Bernie to win. Are they afraid of him? He was pushing that for a reason. Like first to separate the Democratic Party. Also, because trust me, he already had a playbook in the event that Bernie would have won the nomination. So
he tried to run that playbook.
Exactly. So I need people to realize that and to not fall for the tricks as they arrive, because like I said, that's exactly what he was pushing. And we are starting to see this more and more. I mean, it's no surprise that the people are that the leftist voices are like much louder as a result of 2016. And I think you and one thing, not like Courtney says all the time, nobody is above being propagandized, but I think you need to realize like why your voice became louder as a result of 2016 is that your voice is something, that you may have been told. So just keep those things in mind.
So I'm looking right now, and somebody out of PA that a constitutional law professor has retweeted. It said the Philadelphia Department of State's page right now says Philly is at basically just over 100,000 votes counted, and the city's page says they are at about just over 350,000 votes counted, overwhelmingly in favor of Biden.
Okay.
So they said that Philly is ahead of schedule for counting mail ballots. So you might start seeing the numbers flip to Biden in PA shortly, because you're at just over 50% of the vote counted. Trump is ahead by about 500,000. Ohio looks like that one's over with.
Yeah, I think Ohio's a wrap.
Texas, I think, is a wrap. North Carolina, I think, is a wrap.
So right now, Biden's pathway is Pennsylvania.
Well, see, on the map I have, I have PA, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and of course Texas, all going to him, with Maine's with Nebraska's 2nd district going to him, Arizona and Nevada going to him. That has him at exactly 270, with only Iowa and Maine's other district not going. So that has VA, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan all going to him. So if he doesn't get those, then he would need so if for whatever reason North Carolina flips to him last minute, I still think it's going to be within recount territory, which then I think starts getting dicey. But if North Carolina goes to him, he's at 285. But without North Carolina, he is at 270 exactly. So if he gets Nebraska's 2nd district, and he might get exactly 270 or 269.
So just if you want further proof of what a piece of shit Tommy Tuberville is that Doug Jones attempted to call him before Tuberville took the stage for his acceptance speech, but Tuberville refused to accept the call and has no plans to call him back.
Yep, Ohio. They are announcing Ohio for dope.
And again, people are already getting ratioed for saying Clint going red. It's like, do y'all not want clean water? It's like, fuck you. Again, fuck you.
We're not doing that.
How about you go live somewhere where the water is of that quality, and you can come back to the timeline.
So I feel like a dirty person right now. Fuck Tubbs.
Yeah.
Kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, he can fall and break his hip.
Break something.
Break something. I can't say what I want to say.
Well, I want to pop back in here now and mention something here is that I think part of what disappoints is that we wanted this to be a blowout because of what's happening, right? Because of the pandemic, because of everything that's going on, it shouldn't be as close as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it should not be, we should not be where we are. And that's just what it is. This should be a blowout referendum, and it just kind of shows how screwed up this country is when it's all said and done. Like, they're showing here, they're talking about Georgia, talking about Texas, when Biden's within 400,000 in Georgia, and there's still over 1 million left to count, a lot of them in blue precincts, and then mail-in ballots. So again, those things are still up for grabs. And again, we could look up to where Biden has 300 electoral votes, right? We could look above 300. We don't know yet. But it's disheartening that it's still this close. Like it shouldn't be this close. And that I think is what's so disappointing. Let's listen to what they're saying about Georgia here.
How many votes are Democrats going to get out of these counties when they come in? Let's take a closer look here and zoom in. Let me take the bubbles off and we can zoom in. Good example here, Fulton County, Atlanta. This is about half the vote. Biden running at 73%. There's 282,000 votes still to come there. Just doing math. If you look at the current pace that Biden is winning the same, and he is winning the same day vote in Fulton County, he could net another 100,000 100,000 votes out of Fulton County. You know, if you take a look, let's see here, DeKalb County, this is another one, 300,000 votes. I mean, overwhelmingly Biden here, even in the same day vote that we're seeing. He's winning the same day that we're seeing in DeKalb with about 62% of the vote right now. So again, he could net a lot here. The problem, though, is for Biden, as I say, though, is overall that same day trend, it does end up catching him even in some blue counties. Here's a good example. Gwinnett County, I was just looking at this. You know, if you look at the early absentee vote that was cast here, we think it was about 59-40, the early vote cast in this county. You know, again, compared to overall, Biden's running at 57%. What that means is the same day vote that's been cast here, even though Biden's winning overall sizably, it's about even. Trump is even ahead by about a fraction of a point in the count that we're seeing right now. So it strongly suggests, you know, there's a lot of votes to come here, 114,000. But unless that trend changes, Biden may not get much, you know, in terms of erasing the plurality. So there are enough votes in this Atlanta metro area in particular to really dramatically tighten this statewide race. And this is what we saw. This is what we saw in Georgia in 2018 and 2016. The final margin really came in late when these counties did. But there is a question here if that gap between the early and the same day, even with these Democratic counties having a lot of ballots left, might catch Biden here. He's got to make up 372,000. Again, we'll see. Let's see what comes in a place like Gwinnett. If there's a surprise there, I think that's what he'd need. Steve, thank you. We have just passed midnight here on the East Coast. We're in the heart of out west. It's a few minutes after 9 p.m. Here's the way we see it. Hawaii, where thoughts turn on a Tuesday night in a boarded up Manhattan. Hawaii, 4 electoral votes, too early to call. Florida, 29 electoral votes. We have it as too close to call, Trump leads. North Carolina, too close to call. Texas, too early to call, Trump leads. Pennsylvania, too early to call, period. Michigan, same thing, too early to call. Georgia, too early to call. Arizona, too early to call, Biden leads. Wisconsin, too early to call. Minnesota, too early to call.
I'm just gonna interject while they're going over this because people can read this. But the mail-in ballots are going to be really contentious here for all these states. And this is what we've been screaming about. USPS has been set up. Republicans planned and strategized this from the beginning for a very long time. And that's what they were doing, was slowing down the USPS and I'm fully convinced they planned to, okay, it's going to be more of our people are going to be the ones to vote in person because they don't give a shit about the pandemic and they're more likely to go vote. They're wealthier so that they have a chance to go vote, and they're more likely to have jobs where they can leave to go vote in person. So I think that they planned for this and they're going to try to invalidate as many mail-in ballots as possible.
I want to, while we're on this, because I want to highlight on some of these Georgia races of some of these people that we have interviewed and talk about where they're coming in, because they're really getting interesting. So I know they're doing projections right now, projecting Virginia for Biden. So let me flip to these Georgia House seats real quick, where we can talk about some of the people that we have had on. So in District 21, things aren't going well for William Hughes. He is down by almost 50 points with all precincts reporting. So I don't think he is going to win that seat. My thing keeps on refreshing on me. I'm sorry. Let me go to Sam Park. Should be the first one that comes up here. Sam Park in District 101 was leading last I checked, and it looks like he has been certified the winner. So Sam Park is certified the winner in District 101. He will seek a third. He will earn a third term there. District 102 is very close. Greg Kennard is up by what looks to be literally 100 votes. It is 50%. One more precinct has to report. District 104 here. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 104 with Nikita Hemingway. She is still down by about 2,000 votes, but only half the precincts have reported. In District 106, Rebecca Mitchell is up by 3,000 votes right now, with only 4 precincts remaining. District 107,
Shelly Hutchinson is up by over 20 points right now, but only five of 11 precincts have reported. Jasmine Clark, who we also interviewed on here, is currently up by 2,000 votes with 4 more precincts to go. So I believe that is all of our House seats of actual members especially people who we've had the chance to interview. So we'll keep an eye on that. But there's a really good chance here that Georgia is at least going to flip Gwinnett County within the state house. We could go a very long way to preventing any damage that Kemp can do. So I just want to kind of put that out there about where we are right here in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, I went and made the strongest drink in my arsenal, and I'm eating cake. Because
did you get that pumpkin roll or did you finish it?
That is what I'm eating right now. Because
listen to me and my public's recommendations. Listen to my public.
Because if democracy's gonna die, I'm gonna be drunk and eating something delicious.
I'm just saying, imagine that pumpkin roll and imagine that pumpkin roll and that buttercream. Imagine bourbon in that buttercream. Would that not just be like?
As
that's my vision.
Senator Padme Amidala once said. So this is how democracy dies, with thunderous thighs.
I will use Ben Franklin's quote here. Do you have a monarchy or do you have a republic? And he said a republic if you can keep it. We don't quote white men often on here, but I feel like that's a damning quote. 240 years in the making here, because this is going to be close, and it shouldn't be close, right? Right. People talk about this being a referendum. It's going to be a referendum. It's a referendum on America, right? Mm-hmm. I still have confidence that America, but as far as I'm concerned, it's not going to be pretty, and we needed it to be pretty, right? If we want these things to pass, we need a 50-50 tie in the Senate. That's looking hard. That's looking like it may not happen. And again,
Maine James Carville,
and while we're staring at him, so yeah, I want to put that out there that hold on to your seat. It's going to be rough. Keep your sanity. Whatever self-care you can do, please do it over the next bit of time.
Eating cake.
And just know
Maine is only 59% reported, and it's still a 10-point race between Gideon and Collins. So
it's gonna get ugly.
And then just know that, just to buckle up again, I know we're talking about mental health, but there's fascist movements in multiple countries in this world. So if I feel like we're getting the 20s all over again, and it is very ironic because I know we were always told that history repeats itself, but we are carbon copy repeating the 20th century.
It's going to be
to the pandemic and the way the pandemic is being handled, to the rise of fascism and Nazism and white supremacy to the same extent and in the same exact way. Mm-hmm. So honestly, if you kind of want to see where things are going, I really hope there's no, except for the only thing that's worse because of the climate. We have climate change. Yeah. To add to it, but again, take care of yourself mentally, but do know that this is really serious and this is not a joke.
Hey,
shout out to Franz Ferdinand. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna tell y'all.
Who's gonna get assassinated?
That's what I'm gonna tell y'all. We got 7 years, they said, before we can no longer reverse the effects of climate change.
We're fucked.
Pull that money out your 401k. All out.
Ball
out.
Fuck it. As our boy Matt
worst case scenario, said, there's not going to be Social Security by the time we're of that age.
Fuck it, we ball.
Hey, Montana looking promising.
Yeah, it is. I was monitoring.
That could be the upset we get instead of North Carolina. In that scenario, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still going to go to the Supreme Court no matter what.
So if you want something to dull your senses right here.
Whoa. Oh, okay, that's Virginia. I read that wrong. My brain saw the G first, and I thought it said Georgia, and I almost got excited. I'm sorry. Apologize. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, AJ.
This drink is what I like to call 3 strikes. It is a cognac, amaretto. No, wait, that's a different drink. This is the second strongest drink in Marson. But this has 1738 amaretto and maraschino luxardo in it, with a little bit of lemon juice and club soda. It'll get you drunk.
I'm sure it goes well with the pumpkin roll that everyone was like, that's it. Sounds like a Caucasian dessert. It is a Caucasian dessert, but it's a delicious one.
Hey, listen, I grabbed like a little regular like pumpkin pound cake from Publix, thinking it was just like a regular ass pound cake because I had a craving for some pound cake. And I was ashamed of how delicious it was. I was like, am I basic?
Why didn't you get the sweet potato pound cake, my brother?
Publix never misses. Publix never misses.
No.
Ever.
I will buy something blindly from Publix, and I'm surprised every time. So yeah, they never miss.
That pumpkin roll was just, and I was just like, oh, this looks good. It's by the cheesecake, and they never miss. No grocery store has compared.
Pull that money out.
I want to report here something that
buy that car, go on that trip, shoot your shot. We all finna die.
Buy you an AP like with your 401k, right?
As 21 Savage said, this nigga gonna die, and by this nigga he meant us.
I want to report here that Kanye West has received 2,000 votes in Iowa.
Yeah,
in Iowa.
Make of that what you will.
America sucks.
People think it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
People think this is a joke. And it's crazy. Like I'm still one of those people. I don't agree with people saying, well, if you can't complain if you don't vote, because I feel like that can take in people that can't vote, and I don't like that. Exactly, Jonathan. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, I
the
need
truth.
to try that.
It's so good. It's so good. It's like,
oh.
But what was I saying? Because I'm at the point where I'm sobering up. But and my ADD meds are way out of my bloodstream right now.
And now that it's over.
But no, I don't even know what the fuck I was saying. But I had a really good point. But now I'm thinking about mango key lime pie, which my mental health is better for it.
All right, let's do them. Listen.
Yeah.
70. He'd finish at 269. That would set up the tie scenario. That's where it goes to the House of Representatives. That's a whole other thing. So it's one lonely electoral vote in Nebraska. But given what we've seen happen in these other states tonight, and given the narrowing of Biden's path that's created, it's critical for him to get it.
So, sorry, Steve, to ask you to go back in time, but show us where Biden is at in terms of trying to get that.
Yeah, so again, let's call it up here.
You said it was about 30,000 votes?
Yeah, his lead is 30,000 votes right now. 271,000 votes have been cast. In 2016, there were, let's get this working, there were 280,000 votes that were, I don't know if that looks like a 280. There are 280,000 votes that were cast in this district for president in 2016. So yeah, 271, they were a little bit short of the 2016 level. Obviously, we've been seeing elsewhere, the turnout is going well past 2016 levels. So there are more votes to come here. And according to the county's website, which has put out a reporting schedule here, they indicate that the votes that are still to come were same-day votes. They were votes that were cast.
Hold on. New York Times Needle now has leaning 63% Biden for Georgia.
Vote. We're trying
that's where it gets spicy. So yeah.
This is getting spicy, yeah, and this is where they're trying to suppress the vote.
I've been trying to tell y'all all night. Like we not there yet, but just be prepared. If we take Georgia, then I'm gonna get on my high horse and I'm gonna take my victory lap. Because I've been trying to tell folks that Gwinnett County and Fulton County and DeKalb County are going to be what put this over the edge.
I think I'm hoping Cobb too, because they leaned Clinton and they're more diverse, but who knows?
I think the margin is going to be so narrow in Cobb.
It won't matter. Yeah, it'll be helpful, but it'll definitely be as always. It's usually the black majority counties.
If Biden can win Gwinnett by 4 or 5 points, he can take Georgia. That, I think even in 2016, let me look here and see what Gwinnett County results were, but Hillary barely won it, right? Like that was a slim flip. It was like 1 or 2 points. So that should be noted here. Let me go back here on their website. 2016 general election official incomplete. So here we go here. Let me pull this up because this to me will really say a lot. So it looks like Hillary. Okay, so I was wrong. Hillary won Gwinnett by about 5 points. So if Biden can lengthen that to 7 or maybe 8, that can be something that gets really interesting. Let me go into this real quick and take a look, because we're at 82% reporting, and now Biden has closed the gap to 7.5. So we're still waiting on DeKalb, we're still waiting on Gwinnett, we're still waiting on Fulton, and we're still waiting on mail-in. So let's see what happens there. But New York Times, that's really interesting if they're saying that.
And one thing I wanted to say again about the Democratic Party is the Democratic Socialists of America endorsed candidates have won 19 of their 22 nationally endorsed races so far. And in fact, this is anecdotal, and I'm sure a stat will be on it later, is that Democratic Socialists are polling better, on average, better than centrist veterans.
Yeah, don't say.
So Democratic Party, you're not going to, but it's being fucking screamed into your face at this point where the path is.
Oh fuck! North Carolina Supreme Court is about to go from 6-1 to 4-3. That's scary.
Wow.
Yeah. So they said there's about 117,000 mail-in ballots, although likely less, still uncounted. So they could see. Oh shit! They got the NC Court of Appeals too. Fuck, maybe I moved to the wrong state.
Oh Jesus. Oh my God, Gwinnett County
Joe
transit
Biden
referendum is. What are you saying, Courtney?
I was like, Joe Biden won Minnesota.
Oh, good. So that's a done deal. Okay. that he's according to AP has him at 223 now. So that is not counting Arizona. It doesn't look like, and that's not counting Nevada. That's 17 votes. That's 240.
Oh, someone tweeted that I've learned that you have to send white people to college or else.
Well,
okay. This is more Gwinnett County self-love. I apologize. This is more Gwinnett County self-love. I'm going to keep it centric here. There's a transit referendum that would essentially extend MARTA here into Gwinnett County, and it is like close by like 1,000 votes, and there's still 30 precincts to report. The district attorney that is currently leading for Gwinnett County has promised to reduce recidivism and end the school to prison pipeline. It is a Black woman who's running for district attorney in the race for sheriff with 2/3 of the vote in. Kibo Taylor, again, who wants to work to end private prisons and reduce recidivism and redistribute funding from police departments, is ahead by over 30,000 votes with 1/3 of the vote to go. Commission chair, we have Democrats leading there. So Gwinnett County is in a position to where all of their county seats, with the exception of one, which is one school board district, is in the process of going blue. That is what we mean by changing demographics. The tax commissioner, who has been the tax commissioner since we moved away, if I remember correctly, is about to lose his seat. So this is stuff that's still, it's incremental change here in Georgia. But I want to highlight that as a way to kind of project what it can look like when the final numbers come in for Biden, because these ain't folks that are just checking off Trump and then all these blue candidates. These are a ton of blue candidates down the ballot who are likely that's likely going up into Biden's positioning. So that is something to watch tonight, because like we said, Minnesota's called for Biden, right? So according to AP, he's at 223 without inclusion of Arizona or Nevada, which would put him, those together would put him at 240. Georgia puts him at 256. If he gets Georgia, that's 256. That's 14 away, which Michigan would then put him over the top. So this is what we're talking about. This is stuff to keep an eye on. Don't worry about Nevada right now. Rural areas out there always get counted first. It usually flips back and forth until the end. So people are saying Nevada and they're freaking out. Don't freak out. Kind of keep an eye on that as we go along. But I just kind of wanted to put that information out there. Gwinnett County is something to watch, and it's not just because I live here. This has been happening for decades.
New York Times now has, again, we still need to be cautious, but New York Times has moved the needle for Biden from 62% to 68% within 6 minutes.
Those votes.
So I'm looking at, let's see, 5 counties left in North Carolina that have fully reported their results.
Someone said North Carolina's close too.
Yeah, I'm seeing somebody just said 65 precincts in Wake, 40 precincts in Guilford, and all of Granville County have yet to be. So someone else who's more familiar with this, Davita, said this is a big deal and could swing the election when we have all the precincts in at 95% right now. Per the NY Times, Trump has a razor-thin lead over Biden.
So see, again, we've been dooming and glooming, and it could still be doom and gloom. But
imagine if the USPS wasn't debilitated. Again, they plan for this.
I mean, yeah, like you said, if he gets AZ and Nevada, which puts him at 240, then North Carolina would just, if he got North Carolina and Georgia, it's a wrap. If he gets North Carolina and Michigan, or if he gets Wisconsin being in, again, is a wrap. So it may not be the referendum that we wanted, but
it's a win.
Still, it's still too close for comfort.
I kind of want to provide more perspective to the people who are in blue bubbles and like to say fuck southern states, including Florida. And remember that in 2018, Floridians voted overwhelmingly to restore voting rights to 1.4 million felons. And last year, the Republican legislature kneecapped it with the poll tax. That one act of disenfranchisement could have provided the margin for Trump to win Florida voter suppression. Here is the story. Once again, remember that. When you're like, fuck this place, you're talking about disenfranchised people as well.
There's also over 100,000 absentee ballots that could be in the mail that have yet to be counted for North Carolina. So again, this is where SCOTUS scares the living shit out of me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And how long, again, to point out, as AJ's talking about with the Supreme Court and the Biden team has prepared money and lawyers, how long can we delay it? Because if they can delay a stoppage, if Biden's team can delay a stoppage and get these votes counted, then it's going to get really, really intriguing. Let's hear what they're saying about Georgia here real quick.
Atlanta, the Democrats are really determining will go blue, or they're relying on to go blue. Well, a big part of what they're waiting on to get that final count is actually right there in that arena behind me, State Farm Arena. It's familiar because of early voting, but that's also where all of the county's absentee ballots are being counted in a room kind of up near the suite level of the arena. Well, there are some delays, and I've spent the better part of the night talking to officials in Fulton County and across the state, trying to figure out exactly when they're going to get them counted. Now, the latest that we understand is Fulton County says they could spend the better part of the next 2 days making sure that they tabulate all of these ballots that have come in, all of these absentee ballots. But I spoke with other officials who have kind of downplayed that delay and said they're aiming to get it done.
Yeah, Fulton County said they're done counting till the morning, which is what she's about to say.
Because remember, this is the most populous county here in Georgia. It's home of Atlanta, of course. So the big question is, when can they get this done? And it also kind of flies in the face of what the Secretary of State told me earlier today, that they're hoping to have all of these things tabulated across the state by noon tomorrow at the very latest. So remember, Brian, Georgia is facing a lot of eyes, a lot of pressure to get this right, not just because of its status as possibly swinging to blues as Democrats hope, but because of the fact that we saw what we saw back in June, during the June primary, the debacle. So the Secretary of State called today a good day for Georgia. The lines were slow across the state, but overall, they're hoping to get those numbers done. They're hoping to get them tabulated as soon as possible. But again, it could be more than 2 days at least before we get those absentee ballots counted here in Fulton County. Brian.
Wayne, just a personal note.
Trump won Montana.
You guys in Atlanta
okay. What are we looking at for the Senate?
The night of the
so Stephen Wolf, or Politics Wolf on Twitter,
become a national political figure,
is saying that
virus visit her home and
that this is basically going to be that the Senate is not going to go. He basically said Democrats are on track to hold the House, but without the Senate and with redistricting shaping up to be a disaster for Democrats after 2020, there's a strong risk that midterm backlash against the Biden presidency would hand both chambers to the GOP in 2022.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
And then Trump also just won Iowa.
Yeah, again, I don't know if we could have put Iowa. I mean, again, Ernst is going to win that seat in the Senate. Alaska, we don't have results on yet. That's kind of
this is the census year again. To remind people, this is not a year to be fucked with or to fucking vote in Kanye West.
Alaska, I want to note that that is probably the last chance to flip. And given what we're seeing right now, it's probably not going to. We don't have any data for Alaska, but based on what else is happening in the country, we're not going to see. I would bet that Al Gross does not win this seat. So where we're standing right now is waiting on Mark Kelly to get hit. We might get to 49. We might get to 49. 50 is a miracle at this point. So it's just a matter of
and with that Republican often voting piece of shit in West Virginia, what's his name? Munchin? What's the West Virginia?
Nick Saban homeboy.
Yeah. Like we could very easily. What's he saying about Georgia?
Oh, hold on. Let me turn this up.
I should note Macon, city of Macon here, Bibb County actually just reported its early absentee vote, and Joe Biden got a big batch of them there, so that did bring him back a little bit closer. But obviously, it is all in this Atlanta metro area. You're talking about Fulton County. Let's give you a sense here. 230,000 votes or so estimated, left to be coming in here. And again, you see the margin Biden's running at, even with the same day vote, seems to be doing extremely well. And then how about this one? Next door to Cobb County, 277,000 votes to come in. Again, this might even be a stronger area for Joe Biden. So, there are still, it's 500,000 votes between those two places. When you're looking at about 1 million left here statewide to come, we think there is still some room right there. But again, we're just trying to get a grip here, exactly how many ballots we're talking about in this area, exactly what that split is. It's still unclear in some places between the same day and the early. It's definitely a Biden area here, and it's definitely going to bring this margin significantly closer. But the question is, how big is that burst going to be for Joe Biden here? That's what we're trying to get a grip on. And again, this has been, we said it'd be an election night like no other. And this is the thing I got to say all night, looking at Georgia and every other state, it's trying to figure out, trying to determine, are we looking at early vote? Are we looking at same day vote? Because there's just been an enormous difference between the two. And frankly, it's not always clear immediately what we're looking at. Haven't done an election like this before.
Steve, let me just run something by
This
you.
is wild. I still have everything's still saying that Cunningham has a chance to take it. I don't know where the hell this is coming from, but
and one thing too, I think it's shown, if this pandemic didn't happen, I think Trump would be running away with this.
Seems to me like
I agree with that.
Numbers.
Yeah.
Which is really disappointing. If this pandemic didn't happen, Trump would be running away with this.
Actually,
like it doesn't seem like there's any
Prince Hakeem tweeted the same thing. If it weren't for this pandemic, this election would have been even scarier than it already is.
It'd be real scary hours.
Almost promises that it's
And I think that would go for Senate elections too.
Results in Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin.
I mean.
And if that isn't telling enough on this country, and it's not just the southern states. Again, we see this. We see these states. So I need people to shut up about that. It's everywhere.
Hold on,
White
let's see what they're
supremacy.
talking about with North Carolina real quick.
Yeah, that's really close.
They will still be counted. We don't know how many there are. So that's another variable we're trying to figure out. How many more ballots are going to come in North Carolina? Could that still plausibly affect the outcome in North Carolina at about 75,000 vote margin? In Wisconsin, we are hearing, I'll show you Milwaukee County here, and I think you were talking about this earlier, core Democratic area. You see a lot of vote left to come. This happened in the 2018 midterm election. It was sometime around this point in the night in the 2018 midterm election, we suddenly got from the city of Milwaukee, we got their absentee vote all reported at once, and it completely changed the race. The Democrat won the governor's race when those votes were reported. I think sometime, I believe I'm hearing about 4 a.m. or so, I think we're going to get the mail-in vote, all the vote from Milwaukee. So I think that could potentially be a very big piece of the puzzle in Wisconsin, because if you're just looking at the Trump lead over Biden here, if you went back to the 2016 level of Democratic support in Milwaukee County, that would basically erase that Trump lead, that Trump advantage right now. There are other counties here that Trump could still, gain some vote in here, but I think that's going to be a big one. But you are seeing a lot of the vote come in. The big wild card in Wisconsin, I got the sheet right here, is some of these counties, some of the municipalities, big cities within the counties like Milwaukee, count up their mail-in vote, count up their absentee vote at separate places and report it all out late. And that's what you had happen in Milwaukee back in 2018 in that governor's race when Tony Evers won at the end. And so there are a number of places here. I'm just looking, in Milwaukee County, you got a few, Waukesha County. I think there's 38 or there's 39 of these. These are municipalities, generally larger places that do that sort of separate from the county. And those can come in later in a lot of cases. And I think Milwaukee's going to be one of them.
Steve Kornacki, thank you very much. Let's go to our friend Claire McCaskill.
One quick thing. Proposition 17 passed in California, which means all formerly incarcerated citizens got their right to vote restored, which is huge.
That's good. That's good.
For enfranchisement, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we get an answer to this tonight, but I just want to say that fuck Tommy Tuberville. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck you if you were undecided or voted for a third party candidate. And
if you treated this as a joke,
this is all Ruth Bader Ginsburg's fault.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. That's kind of what I got here. You step down when the black man asks you to step down, and maybe we're not in this fucking shitty predicament. But also, I wore this hoodie for a reason. I've worn it on like the last 4 podcasts I've done. Shouts to Ryan for the design. No more. You know how you can know more? By listening to me. I would never steer you motherfuckers wrong. I think one positive thing to say is that some things are so close that Trump has not announced victory. And I think that is promising in itself. I think that leak helped, that leak showing that he had planned to announce an early victory. Again, good journalism for that. Excellent journalism, because if that wouldn't have been announced, I think he would have tried to announce victory and pull a Bush in 2000.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's do this because we're not going to know a lot for a little while. What you got, Courtney?
This got deleted, but I don't understand why. But the political polls, which again is not verified, but they've been calling all this. They said that Fox News has just retracted the call for Biden in Arizona, and I guess they added it back.
Okay.
So that was stupid. I was like, what?
I mean, it was saying that Arizona was going to be too close to call. I think we're gonna have a better picture in the morning, especially with Wisconsin and with Georgia. So I'm good on calling it a night. If y'all want to, it's 12:30.
I'm falling asleep.
Yeah. I got to call it a night. Yeah.
All right. We appreciate y'all tuning in. I will run our advertiser one more time before we get out of here. Thank you everybody that tuned in. We had a nice little input here on Twitter. Over 300 people joined us. So thank you so much for tuning in. So we will we'll see what things are looking like Thursday. We might do a show. We might not. It depends on how things are going and how tired
our mental health.
Yeah.
For your 401k.
Yes. But we will at the very least be back next Thursday. We're gonna see what's going on.
I'm about to cop the Tesla. I believe in capitalism. That's the only thing I believe in.
You know what? Pull your 401k, get you some Ivy Park. Nothing matters.
I'll say one last thing before we get out.
I'm in the Beamer.
I'll say one last thing before we get out of here. Before we get to the point where we're all freaking out. Let me say this. Couple things to watch as we go into tomorrow morning. Keep an eye on Georgia. We need to wait for Arizona finalization. We'll need to wait on Wisconsin finalization. We're not going to know Michigan or Pennsylvania for quite a while. However, if Nevada, so right now, based on the projection that MSNBC has up, and I'll add this to the screen real quick. Well, never mind. I won't do it. They have 205 for Biden, but they're not including things like Arizona, Nevada, Minnesota, which is now officially in Biden's corner. In some extent. So you're looking at really a pathway of just Wisconsin. And then if we can get Georgia or North Carolina as those votes come in, it's going to get really interesting. So if we wake up tomorrow and we see that one of those two has gone to Biden, feel better. If not, now we're waiting on Pennsylvania to count, and it's going to be admitted. So thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us. I'm gonna play this ad real quick and then we're gonna dip for the night. So kidswearcrowns.com, at the KWC blog on Twitter. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Jonathan, for tuning in, all of our listeners tonight. And one more time for Natural Roots by Smoot, and we're out.
Natural Roots by Smoot believes that you can achieve amazing results for your hair and skin by using what nature's already provided. With beard balms and oils and hair and skin creams made free of manufactured and artificial chemicals, the results speak for themselves. Try their lemon peppermint hair and skin cream, 4 ounces for $9, or 8 ounces for $18. Try a set of the Cedar Forest Beard Balm and Beard Oil for $12. Natural Roots by Smoot was started because he really believes that you can achieve amazing results with your hair and skin by using what nature has already provided. Learn more by going to naturalrootsbysmoot.com. That's naturalrootsbysmoot.com.
Appreciate y'all. Take it easy. Have a good night. Sleep well as much as you can. AJ, stop the one thing. Nobody's bringing that back.